Boom! Trainer of the year, Trevor Wittman. You might get it.
We'll see.
It's,
I mean, I
you
don't
definitely on the
have
short
many,
list.
I got not that many athletes, so that's where, when I had won it 2 years ago, that was unique to me because I went in there like, man, I don't deserve this. I remember having 40 athletes, and the guys who have all these athletes is putting in so much time. I had 3 athletes at the time, so that was cool. But again, I think performing and doing good as a coach is one thing, but also putting in that full time. When you're running a gym and having 40 athletes, it's a nonstop 60 hours. You're not doing anything with your children. And
yeah.
That's but then when I seen the athletes talking on the screen and talking about, Rose talking about changing the world and just being good people, then I was like, oh, yeah. And I remember repeating to myself when I went through a tough time and lost all my athletes, we kind of had this split. And it all happened through when Nate Marquardt had that issue with the TRT. And, I had talked about the gray area. If you're going to allow someone to do that, you have that space. Like, he instantly got shunned for it. And he's got children. He had a new kid on the way. And I was just like, man, he got shunned. We knew about it prior. And I'm just like, they said you could do it, but they don't know how to test the levels. And that situation turned into a bigger situation. And then I ended up starting over with athletes. And I remember repeating to myself, you're the best coach in the world. No one's better. And I remember just repeating, I had a new gym that was big, 13,000 square feet. I was paid it by myself.
Wow.
And I just kept saying it over and over and over. And then when I was sitting there that night, I was looking at him. And we won like 7 awards that night, with just the 3 of us. And I was like, man, that's super cool. That's when it kind of hit. And I was like, oh, man.
There's something to be said for having a small stable of athletes versus, like, there's some of these super gyms where a lot of guys wind up complaining. A lot of guys wind up saying they don't get the attention they deserve. They feel like they're staggering or they're stagnant there, and it's not. I don't think it's the right way. I mean,
it's so different. I'll tell you, it takes it back to my boxing days. I only had 3 or 4 athletes at the most, and I was running with them and had them at my house, and I was feeding them, and they were at my house for camp, and it was one-on-one for everything. For the psyche, I mean, that's such an important part when it comes to fighting outside of Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, I learned from this guy when it comes to mental. Like, he's just ingrained with, like, the strongest mental, and I love that part. Like, that's why I love working with Rose, because the mental part. But one-on-one is key. That is key to being able to be with your athletes, and I'll tell you, it's like a hobby again. It ain't like a job. It's like passion, and you never really want to do it for the money. You need to pay your bills, but the key is it's the athlete. It's about them.
Justin, when you came to Trevor, like, how much striking experience had you had?
Zero.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I had 5 amateur fights. I had never been in a street fight, a one-on-one street fight, a couple of big brawls. Never thrown a punch, never been punched, and I got hit hard in my 5th fight. Almost got knocked out. I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, I need to find a coach.
So you had 5 amateur MMA fights with 0 striking training.
0. I was just so right after wrestling was over, I would just be like, I want to fight. And then I was in the best shape of my life after wrestling season.
Right.
So I was a machine still, but I just had no skills. It was go out there and wrestle, take them down, slams. I was I got my nickname The Highlight before I ever knew how to strike, and that was from tossing people.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you when he came into my gym. So I met him at one of the fights, and I thought he was a Japanese guy because I was traveling to Tokyo a lot with Dwayne. And his name, Gaethje, for some reason, I pictured a Japanese guy.
Yeah,
and
it kind of sounds like it could be Japanese.
And I was like, oh, my God, it was spectacular. The way he was throwing people and putting them on their head, I was just, like, amazed. And I talked to him in the locker room. I was like, dude, I'm a huge fan. Like, your fighting style is so unique. And then he's like, I'd love to come to your gym. So he comes in, he's like, I'm here to fight. And I was like, cool. And I'm like, all right, well, we're sparring today. And he's like, cool, yeah, I want to fight. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's go back there. And I said, well, we're sparring today. Let's get back here. And I was like, you have any gear? And he's like, cool, what gear I need? And I'm just like, oh, my God. Like, you're out here fighting? I take him to the equipment, and I was like, all right, get some gloves, get some shin guards.
What year was this?
This is
2009.
Yeah.
Imagine that moment if someone told you 11 years from now, you're looking at one of the baddest motherfuckers on earth.
I'd say it took me a week or 2 to know. Like, his mindset and the way he trained. Like, this first session that he had was one of the most unique. So I tell him about this equipment. I'm like, get your equipment on. I was like, get one of those headgears. And he jumps up at me and he's like, well, I got to wear a helmet. Like, no one else is wearing helmets. And I'm like,
no one's wearing a helmet. Why the fuck?
I'm like, who is this guy? So he's sparring with this guy named Vinny Lopez. And he gets hit with an uppercut while he's hitting Vinny with an overhand. And he turns around and goes, ooh. And I'm like, oh, shit, he's hurt. You know, so I go over to him. I'm like, you good? And he's like, that felt so fucking good. He's looking at his fist. And they both cracked each other so hard, like KO shots. Like, it was nice. And from that time, I was like, dude, you are super unique.
I was like, I've never punched somebody like that before. I was like, I know that fucking hurt, dude. He's like, you know, Vinny looks like a me. He's all tatted up, neck down, Mexican, you know, looks like he's straight out of prison.
He's Puerto Rican. I'm going to say that for Vinny.
He's Puerto Rican. He looks mean, dude. He's mean. Yeah. He looks mean. And I was like, I got to go with him. They're like, yep. I was like, all right. And I hit him. I was like, oh, shit.
And then
real quick before I forget, the one-on-one thing, I was saying, you've heard like 5-6 guys as we've been going through these fights say how they appreciate the one-on-one time.
Yes.
And, you know, that's going back to what that was. I don't want to miss that earlier when you were talking about that. That's the biggest thing for me. He's at every single one of my training sessions, talking to me like he was talking to me in my fight for sparring. When he needs to throw the towel in or call the fight, he knows. He watches me every day. And this one-on-one thing is what these guys are understanding is so important.
It's everything
when it comes to fighting at the high level.
It's having that unique relationship with a trainer. Having a trainer where you and the trainer are tight like that. Like DJ had it with Matt Hume. You know, there's a lot of guys who have that kind of one-on. GSP had it with Faraz Sahabi. That relationship is so critical. It's so because you're going in there together. Like you're helping each other. You understand. You know his whole process from. I mean, literally with him, you know his entire fighting process. From the beginning, the first time he was there, like that's invaluable, man. These guys that are jumping into these super camps and the person is just sort of giving you random general motivation in between the corner, telling you to keep your hands up, work the jab. You know, that's not enough. It's not optimal. I really feel like the optimal relationship is a trainer that really knows the athlete well and is with them in every training session.
100%. I think there's a huge issue. First off, big training camps are key just because the partners. I mean, you will get champion level fighters out of there because you're seeing all different styles. You're seeing wrestlers, grapplers, southpaws, all different sizes. Mm-hmm. So it's great for that, and you adapt to different athletes. The hard part with that is most of the guys train jiu-jitsu somewhere else. They go somewhere else for the conditioning. They go to all these different places, and all the coaches they mean well. They're all like, oh, man, you're 6 weeks out. We got to train hard. And you're going from one hard session to the next hard session to the next hard session. And when you're with them all the time, I pull back a lot on him. And that's the key to peaking. Like a lot of times people just push hard, push hard, push hard. And that's another huge issue in the sport is overtraining.
Yeah, guys get flat.
I mean, it's again, that injuries in the sport are common all the time, and most injuries are happening in training.
When you pull back, are you doing it based on just your general feeling of how he looks and how he's performing, what he's saying, or are you using heart rate variability, using a whoop strap or a heart rate monitor or anything?
No, a lot of those are tech. When it comes to those types of things, my intuition has always played best for me. Mm-hmm. And knowing each athlete is different. Some athletes need to fight at a different heart rate than another. They perform better at a steady, high heart rate. Some need to spike, like in the beginning when he loved to fight. He loved to see people drown and their eyes open. So we trained like that. He wanted to be the most exciting fighter. So I'm there to make sure I'm hitting his goals, not my goals. Like, I'm there for the athlete. I train every athlete differently. And it's all about purpose. Like, what's your purpose for fighting? What do you want to be? And his has changed in the last 4 fights. 4 fights ago, he actually said he wanted to be a world champion. And before that, I want to be the most exciting fighter in the world. And it was about going out there causing those wars. And in the gym, he was sharp and could box and could really do some athletic stuff. But he loved to see people drowned.
It's just amazing how technical your striking is, considering the fact that you've really been only doing it for 11 years. I mean, you're one of the best, if not the best striker in the 155-pound division. That's a fact. And it's the clean sharpness of your fucking left hook, man. It's one of the best I've ever seen. It's so fast and there's no fat in there.
He's been telling me one day, your left hook's going to be your best punch. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Dude.
And yeah, man, it's I played all sports. Growing up I was a pitcher, I was a quarterback. Punter, kicker.
You think there's a benefit in that? And that you just
throwing a right hand is throwing a baseball.
Mm-hmm.
my kick does not necessarily I'm just kicking them as hard as I can. Now it's placement, timing is the most important thing there. But those mechanics that I developed through those playing other sports, I think, has helped me so much. Just my athletic ability. And then once I found, this man is a genius. I can't tell you how the process that he started 10 years ago. I had no idea. I still don't know what the heck we're doing. I'm telling you, it's just
you just listen.
It's how high you want me to jump. That's all. Every day I step in there, that's what I'm asking him. And he is an artist. His mind. I can't see even when we're talking about our Onix equipment. He's telling me these things, and I'm like, I can't put it into my head. I can't see it, but I know. And then once it's the finished product, it's like, holy crap. Same thing when I fight. Every time after I fight, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe, we've been working on this for 10 years, but more specifically, the specific details that I executed in that last fight. We had short time, and there was really certain things that he instilled that I had no idea he was instilling. And, just came to fruition on that night, and it was spectacular to watch. It's spectacular to go back and watch after fight, every fight.
Trevor, how important is it for a guy to be a coachable athlete, too? That's one of the things that you and Luke Caudillo both said after the fight, that he's the most coachable athlete.
That's key. That's the whole thing is I'm there to assist. And, I put myself as the co-pilot. Like, I'm there to draw the map, and you've got to trust me around these corners. Like, you're the driver. You're the one that knows, but you have to trust me. And to be able to be coachable, I mean, if not, I'm just a water boy.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm only coaching a few now, too, is we gotta be in this together, and you got to trust me, and I got to be there for you. And if you trust me, then every decision that I make for you, you've got to trust, whether it's, hey, don't take this fight. I mean, with the last fight, I was like, no, you're not taking the fight. And he's like, come on, coach.
What fight is that?
This is the Tony fight, when he first got offered for the first time. And I was like, no, we were at sparring session. And he's like, why not? And I'm like, because you said you'd never take a short notice fight. And I'm like, no.
Yeah,
and then
it was like 11 days, right? Wasn't it something crazy like that?
But we've been traded hard. Like, then he hit me with all these points. And he's like, dude, with the coronavirus going on, who cares? He's like, let me get in there. I need to fight someone right now. I need to release all this. And his little basic points, I looked at him. I said, all right, are you going to do it again? Are you going to stick to your goal on the next one? Because I might let you off on this one. And he said, I will never take a short notice fight. That's why the second time it was offered, he was even more pissed about it. And I was just like, he's like, the other one was 7 days out. Like, I got nothing to lose. I'll go out on my shield.
So this was let's be clear for everybody.
Yep.
The first time was the Lemoore, California one, the Tai Chi Palace.
April 18th.
Yep.
April 18th. And that was how many days out?
So I got the call.
I think it was 10 or something like that.
No, I think it was like 15 days before that fight. I got the call one night. The next day I went. I called him. He said no that night. Went to sparring the next day, and then that's when I talked. Not talked him into it, but I did like 7 hard rounds. Felt great. I had been sparring so much, and so he was like, I was like, let's do it. I talked him into it, and then so we go hard, and then I think it was, when did they cancel? I think it was 10 days before the fight, they canceled it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, it went out the window, and then they called me.
Did you fall right out of camp, or did you keep training?
I was down to 168. They called me at like 3 p.m., and that night I went to sleep at like 182. Like, I went hard. Just terrible choices. I was like,
What'd you eat? What'd you go to?
I went straight to it's called McGill's World of Ice Cream. I got, double scoop with the waffle cone, and then we ate Pizza Hut for breakfast the next morning. Oof. We had pancakes. I had my cousin Basquito there with me. He was helping me, help with my cooking and helping me around the house during those hard, 20 days. And yeah, we went hard. We went so hard. And then 3 days later, they called me and they're like, it's May 9th. And I was like, fuck that. I was like, I don't take short notice fights. It's like, this last one was, 10 days. I get the benefit of the doubt of it being a late notice fight. And now they want me to do May 9th. That goes out the window. That, it's not really a late replacement fight. It is, but it is for me, and it is in general. But the general public would think, he got a full camp and this is a real fight, blah blah blah. So I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
So let me get this straight. So you're not doing it because you fell out of camp and started eating again?
Because so the 20-day notice was like something very special. Like that was something where I definitely could have performed, and I would have performed. And I think
This is the April 18th.
This is
fight.
the April 18th. I think I would have performed, and I think I would have won. I wouldn't have been as confident. I was terrified when they called me that night. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep. The next day I woke up terrified because I knew that this is not what I do. This is not how I do it. This is
because you weren't fully prepared.
Because there's no way to fully prepare in that amount of time.
Right.
My mind. What I go in there and do, I have to get my mind in a very, very special place.
How much of it is that, and how much of it is physical?
You know,
like
I don't
physically,
know.
how
I don't
prepared-
ask
how
myself.
fi-
I
how
don't. I
prepared
don't
were you
have that
physically?
question. I don't answer that. I can't answer that question for you.
But here's the
'Cause I
question.
don't process that.
But
That's
I mean-
not something I ever process.
This, what I'm saying in this way though, is how physically prepared were you? Were you in training?
Yeah. So I was just. I was the main training partner for Neil Magny,
Oh, okay.
Austin Hubbard when they fought in Vegas.
Oh,
I was in shape. I was in shape.
So the second fight, let me jump in here. The second fight I thought was a way better place to be from a conditioning standpoint because he was already in shape prior to the first one. We just went 2 weeks so hard. Like we were trying to get his body in shape quick, and that's a hard thing to do. Then he went and gained 12 pounds, we were 4 weeks out of that point, which is perfect because the fourth week out, I always pull back on and let their body recover because your third and your second week are our peak weeks. Those are the weeks that we need to really hit prime and really push hard. And it was perfect fit. I'm like, dude, we take this time off. You going up and eating. Now you're ready to go again. You got that little fire back in your body because you're able to eat whatever you want. And I thought it was perfect timing from how I train my athletes from a conditioning standpoint. And I actually had to talk him into that one. I was like, this is even better. Like this is perfect for you for a 5-round.
So for your perspective, is like he had a chance to recover, eat all that food, take a little break, and that's good because your body gets to charge back up again and then grind back down.
Because 6 and 5 on week 6 and week 5 are hard weeks. They're like a start to those last 2 weeks of peaking. Because our fight week, we slow down a little bit and we just turn the engine on, turn it off. So we go 6 and 5 on the weeks are really hard. Then we pull back on week 4. We'll take like 3 days that are really light and then push it a little bit. And then week 3 and week 2 are the ones that I'm trying to get him to peak, hit 5 rounds. We're not doing 6 rounds. We're not doing 7. We're making sure that we can go 5 minutes hard for every round, be sharp, not get lazy. And I thought it fit perfect too.
So when you're saying week 2, you mean 2 weeks out?
2 weeks out, yep.
Yeah.
Right before we leave for the fight.
What do you prefer? Like, if you had a blueprint, like they came to you, Trevor, how much time do you want before a fight? Like, we'll schedule it around your time.
If you're in decent shape, 8 weeks. If you're out of shape, 12 weeks. 12 weeks because you take 3 or 4. If you don't lift weights for a little bit and then you come back and lift weights and you ain't lift for 6 months or 3 months, you're going to get real sore.
Yeah.
So you've got to have that break-in process where because your body's going to be shutting down and you start to, so you have to get through that process. It's just the pre-training. And then you start to hit it hard because you can't just go in hitting it hard if you're 12 weeks out. You just can't. It breaks you down.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah. So why did you feel that was not a good fight, the May 9th fight?
So I had no idea my body would respond as well as it did. I didn't think I could be ready, 100%. I've always done 12 weeks. That's all I've known. That's all I've ever known.
So you felt like the first decision was just like a split decision. It was the middle of COVID-19. Fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. And then when they came to you the second time, you're like, no. I want a real camp.
Yeah. So why can't we just push it to May 26th?
Right.
Give me 3 extra weeks. Then I get my whole 8 to 10 weeks.
Right.
And that's all I asked for. So that was my mindset when they called me because I knew they were going to call me the day before. I was like, watch, they're going to fucking call me, and they're going to want me to fight May 9th or something like that. And I knew it. And then my manager called me. He's like, May 9th, let's go. I was like, fuck that. I was like, no.
He was so mad.
No, I was like, fuck that. I was like, I ain't no fucking puppet. I'm not going to dance when they want me to dance. I was like, I said I don't take late replacement fights. This is now a late replacement. This is different circumstances. These aren't the circumstances everyone, and even he was like flabbergasted. He's like, what are you talking about? It's the same thing. I'm like, no, it's not the same thing. Like, to me, it's not, because, I don't know. Confidence is everything. I know I can perform,
But you wanted everything to be done right.
It was the biggest fight of my life.
Right, of course.
But ultimately, and then when I thought about it, I was like, if it's anybody's fault, it's my fault. Because I knew this. I knew I was going to fight again, and if I was training hard, but I wasn't training with the mindset. That I need to. I have an old school wrestling mentality. You have to see the prize. Every single morning you wake up. The guy that you're going to fight. That wasn't there. That wasn't there when I woke up in the morning. So I didn't feel like I was preparing in the proper way
So
for
you-
something that was at this level. in my
So
life.
you don't just need 10 weeks for your body. You want it for your mind as well.
That's the most. Yeah, I mean, that's the most important part to me. I've been training since I was 4. My body is a machine. I do. I didn't know I can get ready in that amount of time. That's what it comes down to. I had no idea because I've never tried it. But I was in better. I had done better between fights since I fought Cowboy than I had ever done between fights. In the fact that I was staying in shape, running. I had a treadmill at my house. I was still sparring. I took like 2 months off sparring, 3 months off sparring, but then I was sparring for 3-4 months before I got that call. To get in there and fight.
You made a crazy shift in your career in that you started off as this wrestler, but when I first started watching you fight in World Series of Fighting, I was like, look at how this motherfucker throws leg kicks. It was kind of crazy. Like, you would throw leg kicks while you were working the body, like, in close. Like, everybody's got their own sort of way of moving. Like, everybody's body mechanics are different. But you were throwing these, like, crazy in-close leg kicks. Like, you'd be, like,
From the clinch,
on top of people.
Yep.
And you were chopping at their legs. When did you make this shift? Because you don't take anybody down now, which is kind of nuts. If you really think about the fact that you were an all-American wrestler and your base is in wrestling, you have not had a single fucking takedown attempt in the UFC.
No, but I got taken down for 2 seconds when Michael Johnson rocked me. I don't know how they count takedowns in this sport, but it's certainly not like wrestling.
Not a legit takedown.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Eddie and Dustin tried to take me down, but I scrambled right out of that. I was a great defensive wrestler. I wrestled Jordan Burroughs twice. The first time I stopped his double leg for 2.5 periods, and then he pretty much collapsed my sternum, and I couldn't take a breath for 3 months after that. But I mean, then I gave in. Then it broke. My body broke, and I couldn't stop it no more. The second time I wrestled him, I stopped every single double leg he had. Nobody stops that double leg. Fuck was I going with that?
I don't know.
God damn it.
It's you a bad motherfucker.
Well, we're
It's
talking about
a-
your shift between being a wrestler
The hidden
to
secret.
becoming...
I'm sorry. So I was a defensive wrestler. I was
Yeah.
never a great offensive wrestler. It was so hard to take me down. When I was All-American, I started in the pigtail round, and I beat 3 number 8 seed, number 6 seed, and I think I beat the number 10 seed or something. But I gave up the first takedown in every single one of those matches, and then they broke because of my defensive pressure. I was constantly hanging on them, and my leg kicks. Wrestlers, they like to separate wrestling from fighting. I'm just doing this. I'm just doing it both in the same thing. In the clinch is where I'm the most dangerous. With those kicks that you're talking about, that's if your hands are on them, you can feel where their weight is shifting, which way they're moving, which way they want to move, and it's just constantly getting them to put all their pressure on a foot and fire a kick from that range. And that's all wrestling. I'm using my wrestling so much when I'm fighting. Like when I hear people say that, and it's so hard to see that even with the untrained eye or the trained eye, it'd be hard to see. But I'm wrestling so much in there.
Right, I understand that. But so that's interesting that your wrestling allows you to do that from the clinch because you have a better understanding about where they're putting their weight because you're manipulating them around.
Yep.
And then when they have the weight on that leg, you're chopping at it.
Can't check. If your weight is on it, you cannot pick your leg up to check.
So bummed out I didn't call the Michael Johnson fight because I was a big fan of yours. And when you were coming to the UFC, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this is going to be fun. And then when I found out you were doing that Michael Johnson fight, I was like, fuck. I'm like, I can't call that one. I'm not going to be doing that one. And then I got the chance to watch it, and I believe it was the night before we had a card.
Yep.
So I watched it in my hotel room on my laptop, and I was like, God damn. There's a few fights that I'm like, fuck, I wish I called that fight. Because that fight was madness.
That
was just
I have
madness.
fun in the corner. I've had so much fun with him in the corner. Like I've giggled a few times, and right before he got stopped by Poirier, he said something to me in the corner, just made me crack up. He sits down and he's like, "He don't even hit hard," and I just I just look at him and I'm just like, dude, you just have so much fun in there. And he really enjoys the fight. Like he enjoys the process. And I've worked with a lot of athletes, and when most people say it, they don't mean that at all.
Right.
They're psyching themselves up. And he is so unique. Like, he loves to be in there. When it's fight night, Like he said it to me twice, and I was like, oh, really? Because he's like, I'm fucking nervous. And I'm like, really? And he's like, because I'm not nervous at all. Like, and I'm just like, I get that laugh
I don't
right
understand
there.
why I can't feel
And I'm
anything.
just
Like, I don't understand.
He's like, dude,
I want to
fucking
feel
weird.
something.
He goes, I just lost my last 2 fights. That's when he was fighting Vic.
Vic, yeah.
And he's like, I'm so nervous because I'm not nervous. I should be.
I was like, this is big, dude. I need to get. I was like, I need to be on point. I was like, I don't understand why I'm not feeling anything.
Yeah, that was the Vic fight was very interesting because that was one of the first times we got to see real animosity from you too. You were genuinely pissed off at him. I could tell he was talking a lot of shit about how you're a human punching bag, and then he was going to knock you out, and you could see like you were like genuinely angry at him.
I was backed into a corner.
Yeah,
I'm human, man. I had to fight back. So it was defending myself mostly, but I was in such a tough spot coming off 2 losses.
Right.
I knew what I had. I knew I had the skills. I knew, and it was just.
Well, both of those fights were very close fights too. You both
Fight of the
Very
year.
similar.
And both
Very
Eddie
similar
Alvarez
fights.
won fight of the So Michael Johnson, Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, my first 3 fights in the UFC, 2017, 2018. They were voted top 3 out of 5. That's out of 958 fights. That's what I did, and I only got paid half for those 2 fights. That's what hurt me the most.
Well, they
out
were
of
both
those.
real similar too in the fact that you almost stopped both those guys
Very
with
similar.
leg kicks.
And they were similar in the fact how I lost. I became complacent.
Right.
I was having too much fun. I forgot that I was fighting the best of the best, and I love it too much, and not having the crowd there. I think it helped me so much, and I think it's going to carry whether there's crowd or no crowd in the future. I think it's going to benefit me so much because I was able to understand that the crowd does influence my emotions, and my only rule is never allow someone or something to affect or control your emotions. And I wasn't aware that the crowd was having that effect on my emotions. In the fact that I would have engaged more, I would have taken more chances in that fight with Tony, and I didn't do that because I think I was able to be in control of my emotions for the whole time, for every second.
That's interesting because that fight was so wild. If there was a crowd there for that fight, holy shit. That was,
I would have engaged.
It would have been a crazy crowd. I mean, if that was T-Mobile Arena, holy shit. I mean, that would have been madness.
Totally.
Yeah,
That fight was so crazy.
It would have been crazy, but it was super unique to be able to be a part of something like that with no crowd. So it was super cool. Like he's going on and saying that he would have. I don't know if he would have, because if you look at the 3 fights prior to that, there's a huge difference in your range and your balanced shoulders. Like he's outranged. You outranged Vic. You still pressure, but he's got balanced shoulders now. He used to be front heavy, and that was a pressure fighter. Weight was on the front leg, and he was pointed with the head. Now he's level shoulder, where his range is just crazy. Like with Tony was like he couldn't find you with your range,
right,
and your speed and your balance, and
which is Tony's
footwork.
strength.
Totally. And Tony will push you back, hit you with combos all the way back to the cage. Ours was dominate the center of the cage and use your footwork, like keep him off balance. And that's what he's done well in his last 4 fights. And we shifted game plans completely when I had the conversation with him, because he was like, after the first loss, it wasn't much change that he wanted. He still wanted to fight that way. After the second one, he's like, I need to change something. I'm like, what's your purpose? You were the most exciting fighter, and what do you want to be? And he's like, I want to be the champion. I was like, then you have to be intelligent. You have to be intelligent. To be the best fighter in the world, you've got to be the best defensive fighter. Don't change who you are naturally, but you have to understand defense. And defense starts with position.
Yeah.
Always starts with position. You have to know position. You have to win every position.
Well, you came into a real crossroads, right? Because you were this incredibly exciting contender. You come into the UFC, giant prospect. Everybody's excited. You have this fucking chaotic war that reaffirms everybody's hopes and aspirations. Like, this is what we were hoping. Justin Gaethje is going to come to the UFC. Holy shit, this is going to be wild, man. This motherfucker doesn't care. He throws down. You throw down with Michael Johnson, like, and then you have those 2 losses in a row, and people think, okay, is he in over his head? Does that style only work on the lower level guys? And you get to championship caliber guys like, but Dustin's never held the title, but he's a championship caliber guy.
Yep.
And so is Eddie Alvarez. He's a championship caliber guy. He won the title. So you're looking at those 2 guys like, maybe when you get to that point, maybe he's not ready for this, or maybe he doesn't have the style. So then you make this adjustment. So tell me what that was like. You sit back, you guys have this conversation, you say you want to be a world champion, and then what changed in your head?
So he can tell it so much better than me, because for me I can't explain it because it's never been anything. It's just do what I'm told to do when I show up and work my hardest. Like that's all it is every day for me. I didn't make a decision. I think it was a choice, obviously.
But you said you wanted to be a champion now. Instead of being the most exciting fighter, you wanted to be a champion.
Yes.
So what was that shift?
I always wanted to be a champion. I thought I could be a champion. I was undefeated.
Right.
I thought I could be a champion with the style that I was fighting because I was not losing. I had 7 amateur fights, 18 professional fights, 25 fights in a row. I had no idea that that I needed to change. That I was just going in there and I was breaking people. I was like, I can't not break anybody. I'm going to go in there and break everybody because everybody's breaking, just for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I lost to Eddie and Dustin, Eddie and Dustin, it was this. I watched them many times, and then I understood that it was the same mistake. You can't get hit. I was winning. I thought I was winning those fights. Judges' scorecards maybe don't resemble that, but I thought I was winning those fights. The night after I fought Dustin Poirier, I went out and took 200 pictures with all my fans at the bar. He was, in the hospital probably, or guarantee he wasn't on his feet because he didn't walk for a month. So I just understood that no matter how bad you cause damage, if they don't go down and they land that shot, then, it all goes away. And I got paid half my money. I didn't understand. I had never got paid half my money.
Oh,
ever.
You didn't? Did you know? Or did you not think about it?
I knew, but I never thought about that shit.
I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that.
Tough.
For people like me, I wouldn't argue for the whole roster. And there's very few like me. But I'm going to go to war for myself when it comes to that.
You're going to fight your hardest no matter what you're saying, and you don't need that bonus, the
you're
win
not going
bonus
to
to
incentivize
motivate.
me to win,
Yeah.
to save my own life. Like, what the hell do I need that for?
I don't like it. I don't like it for the athlete, and I think there's oftentimes where you would say, "Oh, it forces guys to try to keep it out of the hands of the judges." Well, that's crazy. You can't decide that. I'm going to keep it. That one statement. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. That one statement drives me fucking crazy because that's not how to fight.
That drives me that's the one statement that drives me the most crazy.
Yeah.
My mom said it once, like. Probably 4 years. I was like, Mom, don't you ever say that again. I was like, don't you ever say. And then I told her why. I was like, these guys are trying their hardest. You think they're in their minds like, oh, let's leave it to the judges. Let's leave it to the judges. Like, no, they're just fighting for their life.
Right. Exactly.
And chance didn't fall in their favor when it comes to a knockout. However you want to put it.
Yeah, I mean, take away all the criticisms that we all have for judging, and just the idea that somehow or another you can make this decision to go knock this guy out, who's a world-class fighter, who's trying to knock you out. That's a great way to get knocked out. And when you're fighting, you have to fight correctly. And I think me watching as an observer, what shifted with you is you just seem to be more calculated in your aggression. All the aggression is still there. Yeah, the Vic fight.
Just spots.
The
He fights in spots.
Barboza fight, dude. You got right on top of that motherfucker, and he's one of the scariest strikers in the division. Yeah. You got right on top of him. That was a super impressive knockout. Because you figured the distance out perfectly, but you put a tremendous amount of pressure on him. But your distance was excellent. Like to avoid, you were avoiding, but yet you were still there when you wanted to hit him.
Yeah, it's crazy. Thinking, going in there with to be methodical. I never had a method. My only method was create car crashes. Create a car crash. Be the physics. Both have the same weight.
Right.
Same force. If I can create more force and be there first, then I'm going to win this car crash. That's usually how it works.
And the issue was when you're fighting in a high heart rate, you get your lazy spots where you start to get on your heels a little bit, and you lose your accuracy, you lose your sharpness, you lose your power. You're maxed out in your heart rate, and that's why his finishes, I feel like you're way sharper now, and you still fight like you're always going to fight the way you do. It's in you. You love to fight, but in spots is key. And you're still walking them down. You're still pressuring them. You're still being able to do those things. We didn't change much outside of now he fights in spots.
Yeah,
it's amazing adjustment.
What did I say specifically? Like, I never specifically went to you and was like,
no, you said you wanted to be a champion, and I was like, we got to get a lot more technical.
That's all I ever said. It was other than that.
And we talked about spots. We said you got to fight more in spots. So it was really also too when I'm watching him spar, I watch every session, and and I tell him, you know, you're going too hard, you need to pull back. This one go out, and you're only able to use your lead hand. So now you can't throw power. You can only control someone. And he'll still walk people down, but it takes away him throwing so many combinations or hucking 4 at a time, you know, and he's able to create these patterns that's better. You're controlling range, you're controlling position, and then waiting for mistakes. The best fighters in the world can always match a good match, but it's the first one that makes a mistake is the one who loses. That's where and momentum is so important in sports. Momentum is everything. That snowball, once it starts to build, it's so hard to recover and turn that around in high competition. It's a mental thing. But when you can control things and control and then find one mistake and then you build on that mistake, you're like a wave. You slowly get a little bigger and you slowly get a little bigger. And now you start to capitalize because once they make a mistake, that pattern's starting to create. And then once you got someone make a mistake after mistake after mistake, that's when you crumble on them. And I feel like that's what he's done really well. The 3 fights prior to that, he was just able to capitalize on the big mistake. But credit to Tony. Tony is one of the most gangster dudes in this sport. And for him to go through the damage that he did and continue to walk forward is something unique.
Incredible.
It is one of the coolest things to experience as a coach, to sit there and watch his mental not change. Even when because I was calling for the ref to stop the fight at about halfway through the 5th round. And when he got hit with that last jab and shook his head, I don't think it was a point like, oh, I don't want to go on no more. I don't know if it was the orbital because I know he had an orbital issue, but there was something going on where his body is telling him not to do it, but his mental's like, no, don't stop. Keep going because he's still kicking and punching. Even with the big old gash on his shin from the check, he was still kicking. Like,
he never flinched. Never flinched. He was getting cracked. And
he'd get knocked backwards, and then he would go from backwards or right back to forward. It was super unique to watch, but again, it was great to see someone who can listen and understand that if you stay in control yourself, that's the key to everything in this world. If you listen to anything else on the outside and you start to adapt to other things, you're never going to live the way you want to live. And to be a fighter, you have to be in control of yourself all the time. I always say the best fighters are the best actors. The ones that can trick themselves, fake it till you make it, till you get to the championship. And you have to live that way. You have to obsess never being broken. And even if you break, accept it and then on to the next. Don't deal with it. Oh, man, I had such a bad day. That's one of my biggest pet peeves that I hate is hearing someone, oh, man, today was a shitty day. And I was like, yeah, there's going to be many more shitty days, but accept it.
Yeah.
You know, love it.
Does you zero good to sit around and talk about shitty days.
Totally. And I have fighters say, man, you're always saying just positive shit. You're always just like, and I'm like, hell yeah, you got to love every part of it. Like, I'm going to say beautiful at any point. When I see you get hurt to the body, I'm going to crack up. He got kicked in the cup. He had a big old cup. The last fight, he got kicked in the cup. He turned sideways, did the move we were talking about, we call it moonwalk, where we turn lateral. You don't get the squareness from the front kick. He did it perfect, and he stepped back and aimed at his cup. And I'm like, how'd you get hit in your cup? He had a George St. Pierre cup on. One of the cup too big for the tights.
The tights are too tight.
And I laughed, and I was like, dude, he hit you in the cup. And I was just having the fun.
Tight.
You know, it's...
what kind of cup do you use?
Dude,
he forgot his cup. He forgot his cup in his mouthpiece for this last fight.
Yeah, so... The UFC always has one, and I just grab one for them.
What? The UFC has a cup
so
just laying around?
No, it's their new cups. I'm not the only one that forgets their cup.
Oh, okay. So what do they give you just like
this
a regular
one was actually a really
supporter?
nice cup.
Oh, it is?
Just a cup, and I stick it in my underwear that has a little pocket for the cup.
He trains with no cup. There's so many people.
What?
There's so
I've
many
never
people
sparred with the cup on.
that
What?
don't
Are
train
you-
with
what?
cool with cups.
Did you know the guys
Doing
lose a
touching my
ball?
body.
So Dwayne Ludwig.
Jesus, guys lose balls.
Dwayne
guys
Ludwig
lose
had to
balls.
get carried
Dwayne
out,
did.
put in the back seat, and
fuck.
went in for some type of surgery. And I wasn't there for that
ball
one.
surgery?
Dude, he got kicked in the ball. And the dude that kicked him in the ball had to accept the fight for him and take the fight that he was training for. But every time he takes a ball shot, I don't let him stop. I'm like, get up, wear a cup.
Why would you not wear a cup? That sounds so crazy. Why?
I never got hit in the balls.
Yeah,
I didn't
but-
wear a cup in wrestling. I
But
never
this
wore
is
a
not
cup in wrestling.
But this isn't wrestling.
Cups are for life and death situations.
What?
Sparring is not that.
Yeah, but you could get kicked in the balls and lose a ball.
We've had this conversation many
They can
times.
touch my body. I offer every
I
time
would
I
say
step
he's-
into sparring, I announce 90% of the time I got $500 for anybody that can drop me with a body shot.
Drop you
They
with a
ain't
body
touching
shot.
my
But you
body.
got kicked in the balls in your fight with Tony.
That was a front kick, like an up kick, and it wouldn't have hit my balls if my cup wasn't so big.
That's true. that is true. Honestly, cups do, like, especially in boxing, because I never did mixed martial arts. I did boxing, and boxing cups are the worst. They're those no foul
big
protectors.
Ass things.
Dude, they don't even. It just sits in the front of you. So you take shots up here, and it smashes you. It's like the worst. Like, but
have you ever used one of those diamond MMA cups? The worst.
No, I see people kicking. I see people getting.
I do need a cup though.
Dude, I have some of those laying around. I'll give you one.
All right.
Diamond sent me a gang of them. I fucking love them. I wear them from jiu-jitsu. They sit in compression shorts, and they're tight.
That would probably help, though.
It helps.
My nuts get smashed all the time in jiu-jitsu.
Jesus Christ, dude. Wear a goddamn cup. But are they allowed to wear tie cups? Steel tie cups?
Yes, they are. I actually seen in one of the fights, because I didn't know if they were able to, because they're steel.
Yeah.
But I seen the string coming out. I had to tie up James McSweeney's cup one time, and I'm like, bro, how are you wearing that like that? He had the string going up his ass so bad, like a thong, so tight. And he's like, tighter, coach, tighter. And I'm sitting there, and I'm yanking on this thing, and I'm like, dude, how are you going to fight like that?
Ugh.
But it ain't going to move.
It ain't going to move. And if someone kicks you, it fucking hurts them.
I could not imagine.
Kenny Florian used to fight with a tie steel
cup.
Yeah. Listen, man, the ties know how to do it. I mean, nobody gets kicked in the nuts more than them, right? I mean, they're just throwing leg kicks all the time. They slam shins in the ball sacks all day long, and they figured out a way to make that something that you don't want to do.
Completely.
But it's also a giant lever for arm bars.
I've heard about that. When you're grappling, you can really feel it.
Oh my God, it's illegal in a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments for that reason.
You got both through hooks and dig it into their back, dig it into their spine,
or a mount.
Marco used to do that shit to me.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, you son of a
yeah. We had a guy in our gym that wore one, and he mounted me and stuck it in my sternum. I'm like, what the fuck, man? So where's pain? It's like he's got a giant rock and just shoving it into your sternum. But so when you're sparring, you don't ever feel vulnerable that your balls are just kind of like jiggling around there.
I mean, I wear some tight boxer briefs, so they're not hanging out.
And you're like, all right, whatever, let him do it.
Hey, so again,
he loses the ball. That's a real problem.
That's his outside issue. I work for the athlete. That's one thing that is super unique for me. That I'm not going to be your father.
Right.
Like, I'm going to train you. I'm going to give you everything I got. But this is your life. I will save it in many ways I can, but if you're not going to train for it, I'm not going to just sit there and annoy you for it. When it comes to
the biggest I told you so ever. When you lose a ball,
I used to be when I was a catcher, I didn't wear a cup.
Oh Jesus!
It's crazy, right?
You gotta protect yourself.
You ever see that video where
you got two hands?
Who was it? Dwight Gooden throws that ball and the bird explodes.
Oh no, that was Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson. I would wear a cup if I was catching
with a long old the bullet.
Have you seen it?
He turned his leg all the way up. Yeah, the big tall dude. Yeah.
Have you seen the ball?
I haven't seen
the
that
bird
one,
exploding.
No.
It's kind of
pitching
hilarious.
for the Diamondbacks.
So he throws his ball and this bird flies right into the line of fire and explodes. Explodes in a burst of feathers. Yeah,
I remember him pitching. He was like the fastest pitcher at the time,
Middle
right?
of a game. Middle of a game.
So the birds fly, and I mean, here it goes. Look at this. Oh, sorry. Look over here.
Oh,
look at this. So he throws it, and just perfect timing.
No way.
Yeah, it just randomly explodes.
So that's the bird flopping off over the thing. It just defeathered it. It defeathered every feather. He cleaned it. So you could cook that like that.
Yeah, you could cook it. Yeah.
Right there. It defeathered.
Basically. You could end that fucking bird's... He basically stopped it in its tracks perfectly. It was like the perfect collision. I mean, so what are the odds of that happening?
Unbelievable.
That'd be really effective in golf. Get a birdie.
Odds.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, that's a low-level joke.
Think about your balls, please. I'll get you one of them Diamond MMA cups. Think about your balls.
It's comfortable, I'll wear it.
Okay. Jesus, just, coach, talk to him. Okay, there's a 0.000009% chance Randy Johnson would hit a bird on with any given pitch.
Oh my God!
How do they come up with that number?
Mathematicians, man.
How many pitches have been thrown?
Oh, yeah.
There's only been one out of that.
That's what I mean. So that's
how many birds are on the
probably
planet.
what made that. And then as they continue to go on, that's going to change. Because until they hit a second bird.
Never once had a bird been hit with a pitch in the history of baseball before that faithful day with Randy Johnson. That said, each game, team throws around 150 pitches. Multiply that by 200,000, and you get 30 million.
Every year for
many
years.
The answer is roughly somewhere in the ballpark of 1 in 30 million. Wow.
Per season.
Yeah, per season, I guess, huh? Yeah.
It's only happened once.
If you were not playing Major League and someone did that, no one's going to believe that
No
story.
one would believe that.
Ever.
Yeah, you'd be like, what? Yeah, my
Yeah.
buddy threw the ball, and right when he threw the ball, the bird just was perfectly lined up. Like, your buddy's an asshole and he threw a ball at a bird. Tell the
Took
truth.
every feather off.
That's funny.
So,
my gosh.
think about your nuts, please.
Totally.
I got you.
Okay, thank you.
Diamond Cup.
Yes. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, I have a bunch of them back here.
And he'll be the best father. Like, he is so good with kids. You need to work up, man.
Yeah, you want
I got to find a girl first. That's
Protect
the first
the
part of the
jewels.
equation.
Yeah, but don't find a girl right now because that fucks up more fighters than anything. The wrong girl.
I
Oh,
won't pick the wrong one.
I'm sure you won't. But sometimes you don't think you're picking the wrong one. You
That's
think you're
true.
picking the right one, and then they fucking take their mask
They're
off.
pretty tricky.
Oh, they're so tricky. Some of them aren't tricky at all. You're
Yeah.
like,
I tell you, I was done. I found my wife,
I've
my
been-
best friend. I tell you, she was a key to, I say, all my success. She was someone who supported everything I did, which was so different. And again, having that backbone and having someone to support you is key. You got to have the people that are there for you. When I have the day where I feel weak and I'm like, oh, man, I really just don't want to do this. She's like, get up and do this. Like, you got this. And then the days where she needs to pull me back a little bit. And it's just having that balance is key. But
yes.
in this industry, when it comes to athletes, and especially the level that you're at, it is a scary thing. I've seen
We've
it
seen
change
it. Yeah.
so many people, and it's not just the women; it's outside influences. It's
Yeah.
it's this is one thing that I love about this guy is he is the same dude from day one, and I've had so many athletes just become something different. You know, they get the
Yeah.
shell on, and they just become different, and he's just a grounded dude. I call him a yes man because every person that knows him's like, hey man, come over to my house to dinner, and he just can't say no. He's like, all right, cool, I'll be there. You need me to bring anything?
Well, that's a good
It's
kind of yes
great.
man.
It's just a great thing. Like, he's so good to his family. He's so good to all of his friends. He is very unique. Very unique. And it's always the nice dudes. Like, you see him from the outside, you think, hey man, meathead, you know, like, he's one of the most intelligent for people type of fighters, and some of the nicest guys are the ones that perform the best. They're the ones that's going to help a lady across the street, but they
Right.
fight for something.
I think
and that's
that
super unique.
There's something to that because I think guys who don't have the burden of guilt, like laying on their head that they're an asshole, like even if unless you're a sociopath, if you act like a piece of shit, no matter how much you justify, you're like, I'm the fucking man, who gives a shit? In the back of your head, you got to know you're a piece of shit.
It's
You
false
gotta-
confidence.
Yes, it's false confidence. Like,
That's why everyone's so scared to make that walk.
Or you
There's no
reword
reason you
it.
should be scared. If you've done everything, what are you scared of? You know, you probably didn't eat the right things. You probably didn't go to sleep the right time. You probably drank too much alcohol. You did something, and no, you can't lie to yourself.
He's talking about being an asshole, though.
yeah, but
That's what I
being a
mean.
piece of
That's
shit.
in
part of it
every
as well.
aspect.
See,
in every
but
aspect.
they can reword that and be like, I'm the shit. So the piece of the shit, you know? So you reword that. It's a psyche, right? I'm the shit. You know, everybody's like, no, you're the piece of shit.
I've thought about that with a lot of fighters that they get into trouble. I wonder how much that fucks with them. Like, and also, in today's day and age with social media, if you're an asshole, if you do mean things, people find out about it, and they're like, that guy's a piece of shit, fuck him, you know, and then you feel the sting of that.
Yep.
And then you're getting out there and you're getting booed, and, you know, you see that fuck with guys. It makes a big impact.
Those are the hardest guys to retire too. Like, once they don't have it no more, it's a rough thing. That's been a hard thing for me as a coach is seeing the end.
Yes.
And that's why I'm so into like life coaching, not just coaching. It's coaching them about life that, hey man, you're the same dude as anybody out here. You're challenging yourself. Yes, you are doing something at a different level and going out there and chasing things, but don't let it change who you are to people. And because you have everything now. When you're a champion, you go into any restaurant, they're going to give you free dinner, feed your family. Doesn't matter who's with you. But when you lose, all of a sudden everybody drops their head. They feel bad for you. They're like, oh my God, that's the guy that just got knocked out. And
Yeah.
it's very hard to step away from. And you see guys that continue to fight for way too long because they need that feeling. They need that invincibleness again, that stardom, that kingdom.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to watch because that's a challenge. And you see a lot of people go down the wrong end.
It's
from that
also
point.
their identity. Like, when they're not fighting, they don't know who they are. Because, first of all, fighting is so much more exciting than anything else you're ever going to do.
Yep.
So if you get used to these gigantic highs,
Yeah.
and then preparing, and then the nerves of preparing, and all the anticipation of these big events, fighters, have the riskiest job in the world outside of first responders, soldiers,
100%.
and people along those lines. I mean, you're literally playing a game called I'm trying to throw my bones and separate you from your consciousness, and you're going to try to do that to me, and you're doing it publicly in front of everybody. So there's emotions, there's physical that everybody knows about the damage that it does to your body. There's so much riding on it that for fighters, when they leave that and then they go to a regular life, like a lot of times it's very difficult, very difficult to make that adjustment. That's why so many of them come back.
Yep. And that's why it needs to be guided from day one.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you have to have a time. Like your goal, you have to set goal sets. We've talked about when your time is up and how long you're going to fight for. You have to set those goals. You have to be true to them. That's like not taking a last-minute fight.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have your goals set into place. And once you start to break those rules, you're really not grabbing the wheel.
Right.
You're letting it coast. And then that's where you start to spiral downhill or go off track. And I think that's super important because you can only do any sport for so long. But all athletes, like even in NFL and things like that, they think they're going to play forever. They have this mindset that you're going to play forever. But it's so hard to see what happens to them after the lights go out.
Yeah. Very hard.
Very hard.
Most athletes, pro athletes, wind up going broke.
Yep.
I mean, it's the vast majority of NFL players are bankrupt within, just a couple of years of retiring. Same thing with NBA players.
Mentally bankrupt. Mentally bankrupt. Where they can't earn. They don't want to earn. They almost get like self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. Like, again, it's... I'm kicking my ass. Like, they start to beat their own self up.
Yeah.
And
it takes a lot of work to, that feeling after being in that octagon and winning is the highest of high. I've never, ever experienced anything like it. But I focus, as soon as I leave, I really focus on on bringing myself down and not being too high for too long, because with the highs come the lows. And I'm constantly in the middle.
So when do you do that? Like right after the Tony fight? Like how long
I
after?
walked like 2 minutes after. I walk, you're going through the whole process, but that whole time through the process, it's like, for one, you ain't special. You're not special. That was awesome. But back to normal. Now it's immediate. Right?
Immediate.
Right when I was talking to you. I was like, my finger hurts, but other than that, it's like...
You seem pretty normal.
Yeah, nothing...
The only thing that wasn't normal is you threw the belt away. You're like, get that fucking thing out of here. I want the real one.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. That's the competitor in me,
Right. I get it.
Dustin won one of those, and, as you stated, he was never a champion.
Yeah.
But he did win he won an interim title.
He's
so in the
championship
future,
caliber, and so was Tony. Tony was an interim champion as well, but... Interim titles are very weird. It's a weird thing. I kind of think they shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it's like, definitely not a real belt.
Right.
It's more real than the BMF belt, but
it's just one of those.
Every time I hear that, I think of Cowboys ranch.
Yeah, his ranch.
Because he's got BMF everywhere over there, and I always think of that.
Yeah, it's called the BMF ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the BMF belt was fun, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was. I loved it.
Totally fun. It's entertainment.
Awesome.
We got to, and remember, belts, whether they're interim or not, you get pay-per-view buys. So again, we got to look at the pros and the cons.
I don't
it does
know about
benefit
that
the
belt.
athletes.
I hope
no,
so.
But
better.
I'm talking about the interim. Interim, right?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's why.
It should.
That was one huge factor. For one, I've always said I don't take late replacement fights, but I never said I don't take late replacement world title fights. This is way different.
Yeah.
Just the implications, it was different.
You had a statement.
Different.
One of the things you said when you first entered the UFC, you said, I'm going to put on some incredible fights, and I'm going to lose, and I'm probably going to get knocked out. Nobody says that.
It's crazy. It's
true.
the craziest thing. He says it with you say it all the time. I'm like, stop saying that shit, because you repeat shit, you're going to trick yourself. I'm going to get knocked out. But that's the key to him. Like, he doesn't hesitate. Like, if I do anything as a coach, I got to pull him back. And that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been a motivator my whole career. The psychology, I'm a great technician. But my psychology is tricking people to win. Is how do you get out there and do it? And making them to believe you have to force your head into something to make something happen. You have to go out there and fight. And that's hard for a lot of people. This guy is like, pulling people back is a great thing. It's like, that's It's still hard to do at times, like not with him, but if fighters just go too hard, they hit rage, and rage is hard to settle down. When someone hits rage, like someone says something about your mama, I'm always like, they don't even know your mama. Like, seriously, stop that shit. Like, stop.
Well, there was a great moment after the second round, after you got hit with that uppercut, where you came back to the corner and you told them, take something off your punches. Take about 10% off. Just hit him with clean shots.
Yep.
You're trying to murder him with every shot. And then you made that adjustment. Yeah. And that was really interesting because a lot of times coaches will tell stuff to fighters, and the fighters probably know somewhere in their head, but it's fucking with them that they're starting to get tired. It's fucking with them that they got hit, and then they lose some composure. They get emotional, and they go out there and they wind up making mistakes. You immediately adjusted, and you went out there, and you would see, like, by the end of that second round, when Tony hit you with that shot, people were like, well, maybe this is a shift in the direction of the fight. Nope. The shift was the opposite way. You came out in the third round more technical, and you came out and did exactly what Trevor said.
Yeah, we worked long and hard on that. I trust him with everything, as he said. He wouldn't be my coach if I didn't trust him with my life and with everything I go in there to do. Fuck.
So when he said that to you, when he said take 10% off.
So I'm trying to, the crazy thing is you only see 10% of the interaction between us in between rounds. I'm actually talking to the UFC trying to get that whole thing. But it was I got hit hard.
The UFC trying to get what, the recordings?
He's trying to get his audio from his mic.
Oh.
Cuz
you want to hear it and watch it.
Yeah, cuz I don't remember it,
Right.
It's so fast, and just like when they come to me in the 5th round and I was laughing. Mm-hmm. I had just asked, the reason I was laughing is because I had just asked him, I said, was that the end of the 2nd or 3rd round? And they're like, this is a 5th round. I was like, no fucking way I'm in that good a shape. I was like, no way. And that's when they cut in, so you don't see, there's so much you don't see in that interaction between me and him. And
it's so important for fighters to see that adjustment and how his endurance leveled off. Because it was like you were having these wild exchanges, and you were fucking hitting Tony. First of all, Tony Ferguson is made out of metal.
It's crazy.
What
it's
in
crazy.
the fuck,
especially
dude?
when you're talking about a body type, like you were talking earlier about someone with a frail body type. He doesn't have a chiseled neck.
Right, he's not built like Mark Hunt.
It's so unique to me. He's so tough.
He's so fucking tough.
It makes me want, is it a choice to go to sleep or not? Like,
but there's also a key. Like if a fighter can take something on understanding coachability, is like you have to have your reactions, but you also have to have your responses. Like reactive stuff is like jabs. Positional stuff is reactive. Like you have to be able to react to positions first. I love jiu-jitsu because it's position before submission. Mm-hmm. You have to react to positions before anything else. So there's reactive stuff. But the responses is why you have a co-pilot, to help you see what you can't see and start noticing that. Or how are you playing defense and using a jab to find openings where you're still working, but you're thinking and going, oh, every time he does this, he's dropping his hand, and you're able to see things. That's where you have to be responsive, and you have to be aware in the moment, where a lot of times people can't. They just bite down. They just bite down on that mouthpiece, and very similar to the way you used to fight was bite down, their eyes are getting big. Oh, that's my response is like, continue to do this, and they're going to fall. And again, that is a very important point, is a coach and the athlete understanding I am there to help you with your responses. In the gym, I'm going to create your reactions. I'm going to create your patterns, your basic fundamental patterns that's going to help you win positions and slightly win rounds where you're controlling the fight. The other pieces is how am I slowly creating momentum to get finishes.
It was pretty stunning how well you adapted, and then also how your endurance leveled off. Like, so, because you did seem like you were slowing down a little bit at the second round, but it was because you were sprinting, because you were throwing these full power fucking haymakers. But then when you leveled off in that third round, then it's like you had an endless gas tank. That was interesting.
You're in control of yourself. If you're making decisions, it's a lot easier on your psyche.
Yeah.
When you're trying to just fight out of things all the time, again, you're not in control. If you can't control your thought, you cannot control your breathing.
How stunned were you that Tony could take those shots?
In the fight, there's no point where I even understand.
You weren't thinking at all, just throwing them.
It was crazy. The shots I hit, Vic Barboza and Cerrone with, I was so surprised they went to sleep. I didn't understand why. I think it was position mostly, but yeah, when I was hitting him with some of those shots, especially the one when it came through and he was throwing an uppercut, I couldn't believe he didn't go to sleep with that. But I go back to the Michael Johnson fight when he hit me with that left hand. There's no reason I shouldn't have went to sleep then. So I haven't figured that part.
Johnson has a very good left hand.
out.
You see when he knocked out Poirier with that same punch.
One of the sharpest left hands.
And I was turning through it, and it was on the chin. It was everything a knockout shot should be. I don't know why I didn't go to sleep. I got to figure that part out. I know how people go to sleep. I don't know how
people don't go to sleep.
They don't go to sleep.
It's random. It's weird. I mean, sometimes guys take head kicks, full-on head kicks, and they don't go to sleep.
It's position. It's position.
Yep.
Everything is position.
Well, can you base? Can you lock down?
Did you see it? Did you see it?
That's
Can you
a
base?
huge piece because if you don't see it, you ain't bracing for it. So you're letting it's again the linear or rotational is what's causing a concussion. And when you don't see a shot, those are the ones that cause the most damage. If you're able to brace for it and bite down on the punch, it's a lot better. So a lot of times when you're seeing two hooks, both people hooking, I throw like this, I turn away, and then all of a sudden I come and I don't see it. I'm causing that head-on collision, but I'm not braced for it. I'm not leaning against the wall where if I see a hook coming, I've got my head carrying my weight and able to take the shot. So a lot of times it's the shots you don't see coming, and that's the timing. But there are people who will punch you in any moment, and you're going to go to sleep.
Yeah, punching power is so weird.
And that's like one of the craziest things in this world.
If it was, Tony would have went to sleep.
I'm telling you, I've seen people who don't
hit. Barboza were on 1 foot when I touched them.
Hey, your low kick?
So was
your
Cowboy.
Low kick for many years wasn't thrown with the right technique. But when you kick people, they're like, oh my gosh, like you have a sharp, heavy bone. It's so unique.
Got dense bones. I got the densest bones in the UFC.
There you go. So there's a spot. Yeah.
So they've done a scan on you?
Well, they said they can't confirm or deny I got the densest bones in the UFC.
They
but
can't
They can't run it out. I know, right?
No, yeah.
They can't run it out. We got these stats.
They have a DEXA scan
right
at the UFC PI. And it, you lay there inch by inch, scans your whole body, tells you what you're made of. But yeah,
your bones are denser than Yoel's?
I would assume so.
That seems crazy. That guy doesn't
He's
even seem
got
like
way
he's
more
from this
muscle,
planet. They sent him. You want to hear a crazy story about Yoel? I've repeated it on the podcast, but I'll say it anyway. When he had some sort of a fracture of his orbital, they sent him to a doctor. And the doctor examines him and then calls the UFC and goes, "Where did you find this guy?" And he goes, he's a fucking specimen, huh? He goes, No. I've never seen a human like him. He goes, I've been practicing medicine for more than 40 years. He goes, the ligaments, the tendons in his eye are 3 times larger than a normal human's. They're like everything about him. And Dana told me this. And I was talking to Dana about it, and I was talking to my friends who know the whole Cuban program over there, the Cuban athletic program. And of course, he was on the Cuban Olympic team. They said, like, dude, they did some fucking experiments down there, son. They did some 100% experiments. It's not just incredible genetics, which for sure he has, but like he might be a part of some goddamn,
right?
Like there's a few, like Karelin. They used to call him the experiment. The wrestler from Russia, that guy who was built like a fucking superhero. Yeah. And just threw people around like rag dolls, 300-pound men.
It's crazy.
They would try to flatten out so he couldn't hoist him up. And he'd get his hands under there and fucking and just hoist him over his head. Like they called him the experiment because his parents were like 5'5". He had these little tiny parents. Wow. And he was this gigantic gorilla.
It's crazy. I wonder if there's any doctor out there that's ever talked about me. And said, man, you have never seen a specimen that's just all ligaments and bones, right? He's missing muscle.
He throws everything with perfect technique because he has no muscle. He's not trying to muscle shit. Well, there's something about guys that are strong. In jiu-jitsu, it's actually kind of a disadvantage for learning because you can power out of things so you don't develop proper technique. Yeah. Like you want to learn from a little guy like a Hoyler Gracie or Eddie Bravo or these small guys. Yep. They're not overpowering anybody. Yep. Like I think there's something to that.
Hoyler Gracie was
perfect example.
Perfect example.
And then with striking, it's kind of in a similar mode. Like the really technical guys are the guys who have, like Floyd.
Yep.
Floyd's not knocking anybody out with one punch. He kind of has to be technical. Yeah. He's, he always had brittle hands. He was always hurting himself.
That's that it is the cool thing about boxing is the sweet science. How many years has it been around? And there's just so much involved with that. But you're seeing a huge shift in MMA where it is like so special. With your fight, it's super unique. Again, going back to position and footwork. Like the footwork is the key. Like the people will talk about the punches and pulling stuff off the punches, but from the eye, when I watch it, I'm just like, man, it's keeping someone off balance where their step is just a point of a second behind you. You can control the timing. You can control when you punch. And that is it's a dance. There's a lead. When there's two dancers, there's a lead. And you have to lead the steps. If you're leading the steps, you got them coming to you. And that's creating that pattern. And, man, we can just, like, that's one of my favorite things to teach is just footwork. Like, understanding position. How do you make someone a one-handed fighter or only able to use one side of their body because they can only put one weight on one side? And timing the foot when there's a foot off the ground. They can't base, they can't block until that foot hits the ground. So it's those in-between beats. But those are the spots that I could just geek out about and just have so much fun. But the technique is so key. People who are born with gifts and going back to how people just punch differently. Some people just, whether it's heavy bones, some people, you look at them and their technique is nothing, and you're like, holy cow, they can hit.
Yeah, some people just have crazy power. Like we were talking earlier about Alex Pereira, the guy who fights in Glory. That motherfucker knocks everybody out. He's the guy who knocked out Stylebender. He knocks out everybody. Yep. He's got crazy power, and he's built strong. He looks like a strong guy, but there's something about his power that it's greater than whatever you would expect that comes from him.
Chris Lieben, you remember Chris Lieben?
Oh, yeah.
Not built like an athlete at all. And the guy, every time he hit someone, they were reacting big time. And you knew he had thunder in his hands. Yeah. He really did. And he could take a shot really well, too. That's, again, a super unique thing is those taking the shots.
He would plant his feet hard.
Yeah.
He had a base.
Very plotty, very heavy base.
Yeah. But that cost him when he fought Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Because Anderson timed it.
Yeah. Another
When
sharpshooter who was
else-
sharp. He would hit you when you're at the certain times where you can't, like when he caught Forrest coming in and attacking him. Like just beautiful. Working backwards and still creating that much leverage and causing a head-on collision as you're pulling your hips away. Super unique.
It's all timing. I always say I have there's 6 songs going on in my head during a fight. It's like a reggae song, there's a country song.
Do you? Do you have songs going on in your head?
But that's what I'm dancing to. I'm constantly changing rhythms. And if you're constantly changing rhythms, they can't find a pattern. If they can't find a pattern, you can constantly catch them in between them trying to find it. And that's what I'm doing in there. My feet are dancing.
Are you actually
skates.
thinking of the songs?
No,
though?
not.
But you're just moving
internal,
like as if
it's
you
my
were.
intuition as if I'm never on one beat. If you watch my fights, I'm on 10 different beats.
Just to mix it up and to be unpredictable and to offer different looks.
To make them, because the first thing that happens in a fight is distance control. Someone's going to control distance. It might shift early, back and forth, but it's going to be established within the first minute. That is the most important thing of any fight that will ever happen in a fight, I believe. Because once that's established, the person who establishes it is going to be able to control, the rhythm. And then once you can control the rhythm, now you can make them dance to your tune. Once they're dancing to your tune, you're fucking smoking them.
As a coach, when Tony Ferguson decided to make weight, even though the fight was off, and then wound up fighting just a few weeks later for real, like the April 18th fight, the Tai Chi Palace fight, he just decided to make weight. And, and it was a lot of people were pretty impressed by it, me included. But then a lot of people were saying afterwards, like, hey, what if he has to fight again in 4 weeks? That's like, you got to pay for that. He's not a 155-pound guy. He's a 170-plus pound guy.
He's not young.
No,
and
37.
he actually, we were in contract to fight again. He still was going to make weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I weighed 178 that day. He's like, you want to make weight? I was like, hell no, I'm not making. What are you fucking talking
you
about?
also had all them donuts a few days before. I don't ever look at that stuff, Joe, and think anything because, again, I'm starting to think about them and get distracted.
Right, but as a coach, forget about the fight. The fight's over and gone.
I'm never a person who sets something in stone and say that's a good thing or bad thing. Every person is different. Like if they fight at a lower weight and it's cool for them and they need to hold that weight better, and you're going in a 5-round fight compared to a 3-round, there's so many different variables that go into it. I've got to treat each. I don't know. Like I honestly probably would almost all the time. I'm not going to say never, but yeah, probably not going to do that. But mock cuts are good for you. If you have issues making weight, sometimes a mock cut is good because it gets you down to a point first. And, there's so many people that cut so much weight the week of the fight that I think that's a huge issue. So I really didn't look at it as that big of a deal. I was like, you know what? It's better than just waiting till the last minute because that is where there's huge danger in this sport.
How much do you cut?
Not a lot. This was the easiest cut of my life.
So you diet down, you train down, and then you cut how many pounds?
When I got there, I was 165.
Oh, so not bad.
Yeah,
165.
but you hit 63 twice prior to going there.
Prior to going there, I hit 63 twice the week before.
None of
was
my
crazy.
guys cut
I-
a lot of weight. I don't allow it. I think it's the most dangerous thing. I think, again, it's not natural for your body. You're detoxing everything. You're taking everything out of your system. And again, what weight are you really going to fight at?
Right.
So
On Thursday night, we started our work. We did one workout at night, and I was 163.4 when I started. Worked out for an hour and 20 minutes, and when I got off, I was 156.6, and I was amazed at how much I had just cut. How much
That's
I had just lost.
amazing. So that's
Yeah, so I went to bed. I went and drank 8 ounces of coconut water. Went to bed, woke up 156.2, 156.4.
Oh wow.
Worked out for 20 minutes, sat in the sauna for 10, and then I was on weight.
Oh, that's
It
amazing.
was the easiest cut of my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you just got it dialed in perfectly.
My
All the
body is.
stars
I've been
aligned.
doing this. Like people make fun of me when I say I've been doing it since 4, but my dad caught me sneaking tamales into the bathroom when I was like 6. So like I've been doing this my whole life. Like I am. My body is a machine. It knows once it gets down, we get to go right back up. And that's my mind internally, but it knows.
One of the things you said that I thought was really funny. I hope Tony breaks my nose so I can get it fixed.
Yeah, everyone
craziest shit.
everyone
This is
talks
good.
about how I talk. For one, I talk fast. I've always talked fast. Sounds like I'm mumbling, but my nose doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm like, sit there, plug your nose, and talk. See, this is the same thing.
I can
My
tell
nose
hearing it
doesn't
because
work.
my nose used to be broken too. I had it fixed. I had the
I had it
deviated
fixed,
septum.
but this goes back to the dense bones. I heard it in December. Season ends in March. I got it fixed in April, and it had healed already. And the doctor, he said, I tried to drill through that side, but I couldn't get through that side because your bone is too dense.
What?
Yeah.
That doctor sounds like an asshole.
Right? Give me
That's
the
ridiculous.
college. The college paid for it though. So
Oh, yeah. So this was a long time ago?
This was when I was 19.
Yeah,
Split
see,
my lip too.
You also just have to think about the fact that you're just constantly getting hit in the nose.
yeah, I don't
I've
reckon.
never got
yeah.
hit in the nose in a fight. That's
Eh.
why I'm waiting.
But in training you do.
They hit my forehead. They don't touch my nose or my chin.
Really?
I've seen so
My
many
nose-
people
my nose doesn't
get
bleed.
surgery, and it gets so Shane Carwin, he got his surgery. First sparring session back, fuck coach, broke my nose again. You're building up the cartilage, and again, almost there's been 3 people through the gym that's had surgery and ended up breaking their nose again. I recommend it when you're done.
Yeah, I wish they could clear
Well,
it
no,
out.
I
Yeah,
understand
exactly.
that.
I know
but
about building the cartilage
Yeah.
back up. Yeah, that's like what Vanderlei did,
Yeah.
which was crazy. Like, he became a different human.
Right?
But he had the worst flattened nose I've ever
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
in all my
totally.
years of watching combat sports.
Yeah, but this
Shane
was the-
had my nose fixed. He had broke my nose like daytime I had it broken, and it crawled right back. But man, I could breathe good. It's like everybody's like, "Man, what happened to your nose?" And I'm like, "Man, it slowly fell back into position because it's been like that for so many years." He had broke my nose in sparring. I was so beat up in training from training.
Shane Carwin? You
Shane Carwin.
sparring with
I
Shane
started
Carwin?
sparring with him because he couldn't hit me, and I mean,
What- hold on. Hit the brakes. How much do you weigh?
it's wet like 160.
And you're sparring with Shane fucking Carwin?
Oh yeah, so
who's-
my hands were so bad hitting mitts with him. He hits so hard, Joe, that
Oh.
it's crazy. So I got to understand what everybody was talking about with his gloves. They were like, "Man, he needs different gloves," and I'm like, "He's got the best gloves. They're fine. They just stop being a bitch." And he'd hit me and broke my nose with a jab, and I was just like, "Holy shit!" And I'm walking him down, and he came through one jab, and I went to go step in and opened up my guard, and he hit me. He's like. And I turned around. I'm like, "Damn, man, you broke my nose." And he's like, "I ain't break your nose, coach." And I was like, I leaned over to the side. I looked back at him like this, and he's like, "Oh shit, coach, your nose is broke." And yeah, but
I like how you
So-
make all your fighters, you gave them the worst impressions ever.
I think it's the best. I have fun with him.
They all talk like
they almost,
this.
They almost do like, yeah, so I used to call him Negative Nancy Kerrigan Carwin, Shane Jizer Kerrigan Carwin. I like to have fun with the guys and entertain myself with them, especially with a big dude like him. I was like the little dog barking all the time.
Well, in between fights, people don't know how big he got.
Oh my gosh, he
Well,
hit
when he-
so hard, like I couldn't take the shots no more. Like on my hands and my arms, I was like, dude, we have to work. You have to get time in, and I could still help him sparring.
Well, I remember when
Crazy.
his nose was broken when he fought Gonzaga, and then he hit Gonzaga with that 6-inch punch.
Dude,
remember that?
crazy.
Just like falling backwards, just hits him with
Just
this
barely
little
touch him, boom.
and
It
Gonzaga's
just
whole
falls,
body just shuts
folds.
off. Yeah,
It's crazy.
no, he was an enormous guy. Oh yeah, that's broken. And look, he's laughing.
crazy, dude. He's a fun guy, though. I'll tell you, there was one time in a fight where he was on top of the guy, and he was dropping these shots on him, and he hit him one time, and the way the guy's body moved, it looked really weird. Like, it looked, I was like, I thought he just killed him. Like, he hit him so weird, and the way the guy's body, like, bent and went numb, I was like, oh, my God. You could feel it through the cage, like, underneath, the echo underneath when he was hitting the dude, and his head is pinned against the canvas. He is a unique dude. That dude hits so freaking hard.
Well, I remember his stoppage of Frank Mir. That was one of the most ferocious stoppages I've ever seen in the history of the heavyweight division. He's hitting him with those fucking uppercuts.
So
I had a collar tie, and he's hitting him with uppercuts.
So in that fight, he had so many situations. He was drinking a beer a night. He was like he had a stem cell thing going on in his neck that he didn't know if he was going to be able to fight. He took it on like 3 weeks' notice because the Brock Lesnar fell out. Ended up injuring his hand. So if you notice, everything was left-handed.
Yeah.
He was like 30 boxing him, and I had to ask for him to bump. And he bumped the shoulder and then went boom, boom, hit him with like 3 uppercuts. Then he folded.
Yeah.
And then he turned him on his back and was just clubbing him with the left hand. And he was so injured going into that fight. It was crazy the way he was able to perform.
Really?
And then when he went on a strict diet, he's like, oh, I'm eating damn rabbit food, coach. And he got all thin and he was eating this great diet. Mentally, he wasn't there like when we fought Dos Santos. Dos Santos, and again, that was a tough fight because after the Brock Lesnar fight, every question was about his conditioning. So Shane Carwin, if he goes out there and fights the first round like you're fighting 1-round fight, we're stopping the fight after the first round. I don't think anybody get through a first round with him. But when he pulled back and he started going, hey, I need to see if I can go 5 rounds. Oh, man, because he went with Brock and he gassed out.
Yeah.
I remember with them all, we're sitting there screaming. We're screaming at the top of the lungs, and we're like counting to 3 and then screaming because the crowd was so loud. He couldn't hear us, and he's on top of him just pounding Brock out. And we were
What
like,
were you
you need to
screaming?
stand back up. We wanted to get back up because the ref was just letting it go. And if he stood him back up, he's going to drop him again. Fight's over. And he
Right.
gassed himself out. When in the second round, he's like, Coach, I can't feel my legs. I can't get up. And I'm like, you have to fake this shit, get up. And I figured once he gets out there, he gets hit one time, he's gonna the silverback's gonna come back out. But he went out there. I remember when he got taken down by Brock, he held on to the chin as he went down. That's how tired he was. He grabbed the chin and just kind of laid back. But he's a unique human being.
He came that close.
That close.
That close to stopping
But
Brock.
he was always so damn freaking
He
injured.
hurt him so bad
Yep.
standing.
So bad, yeah.
And then when he got to the ground, and Brock was just able to cover up, and then he blew his wad just trying to take him out of there.
Yep.
He thought the ref was going to stop it.
I did too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so-
everybody in the crowd, the whole
I was
energy.
screaming.
But I was like,
lot
yeah,
of
we were
people
like
could've.
excited. They were
Well,
like,
it's
oh my
funny,
God,
like,
he's got to pull back.
You see,
Well,
like the
fights
Dominic
would've-
Cruz Henry Cejudo fight, which kind of controversial stoppage. You know,
So much
Dominic's
different.
trying to get back up, and the referee stops the fight. Versus that fight, where you're seeing all these unanswered blows. It's so
I would
subjective.
honestly much rather a fight be stopped early than for it
Yes.
to let it go on.
I agree,
Because the toughest job out there is the referees. I tell you, they're a lot of times it's hard. They got to perform too. They go out there, they stop a fight too late, and then they're like, next time they're like, oh man, I got to stop the fight early. It's tough.
Yeah.
You're out there like the referees got such a tough job.
They do, but sometimes
But it's got to be safety. You letting people go on. There's sometimes where I'm just like, never let that guy ref again.
Yeah.
Like taking years off a fighter. It's crazy.
yeah, some guys give guys too many opportunities. I thought it was Herb Dean in your fight. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a perfect stoppage.
Me too.
It was a perfect, and it's rare that you say that with a guy who's still standing and moving back the way Tony was in a world
He
championship
never
fight,
went
but
down once.
Never went down once. Crazy.
But it was getting to a point where the shift was just happening, and his body was telling him he was really, really off balance. His legs were starting to go a little bit.
He was going to be a sitting duck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
And
was
again,
not good.
No.
I don't ever want to take that beating. He would have stopped it before that happened. For sure. I already know that.
Trevor would have stopped it.
Yeah.
If it was you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody could stop it in Tony's corner. That's the other thing is Tony's kind of, he has a jiu-jitsu coach, he has a striking coach, but Tony marches to the beat of his own drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a whole disco band going on in his head. He does whatever he wants.
Rose against Carlos Barza. I take 100% credit in there because we never talked to who the head coach was. It was just so chaotic. I mean, she threw so many damn kicks. She looked so damn good. But there was no control in the damn corner. I was so pissed at myself. Like, that was one of the hardest fights. That's when I let the gym go and said, hey, man, I need to do this and do it with passion and really take this serious because I was so bothered by that. I almost was a cheerleader prior to that fight. Watching her on The Ultimate Fighter perform with no coaches and her just do her thing. Like, she's so damn talented. She finished everybody on The Ultimate Fighter. And then she came in for that title fight, and I was so upset with myself that I didn't have the conversation. I asked the coaches, like, who's that corner? Who's the ones calling the shots? I was so upset. And that kind of situation, it's very easy for teams. Like, if you look at Tony's corner, everybody in that corner is great. And again, sometimes that conversation just needs to happen and saying, hey, who's going to come in the corner to win? Who's going to say what? There's got to be someone that takes control of a corner. And that's why I use less coaches now. He's got his brother in there because I feel like, again, a lot of people have great things to say. But we have to stick to something. I remember working a corner with a wrestling coach, and I'm working on clinch stuff, and he's working on wrestling and taking them down. And I'm like, we're contradicting what we're saying right now. Like, who's talking? And someone's got to be able to say, shut up. I'm one voice at a time. Right. And you have to have that. You have to have that. You have to have those conversations.
So when the Nate Marquardt situation happened, and for people who don't know what happened, Nate was on there was a time in the UFC in combat sports where you were allowed to take TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, and we always talk about TRT Vitor because he was the best example of like what could happen when you take an older fighter and you juice him to the gills and then throw him out there like he was like a fucking alien. I mean, that guy had muscles on his teeth, you know. Like, there was the times when Vitor was his scariest. The Luke Rockhold fight, the Bisping fight, the Henderson fight. Like, dude,
Like
Vitor
2014,
Vitor was fucking terrifying. But it was weird that you're letting this guy take testosterone. And Nate was they tested him and they found that his levels were off the charts. And they were like, "What are you doing? Like, you can't fight." I remember
got suspended, and then all of a sudden he had to fight again, and they took him off suspension, which is crazy to me. And then he uses his doctor again with the TRT. And I'll tell you one thing: Nate is one of again, being coachable. He's one of the most coachable guys. Sometimes almost over coachable because I remember he'd walk around and say, "This is the best boxing coach in the world." It didn't matter who was he, best boxing coach. John Chamber, best conditioning coach. Like, he just believed what you were saying. He just so trustworthy. And his doctor, he believed in so freaking much to go, how much? This doctor we couldn't even get a hold of the week of that fight. He wouldn't answer his phone. He's like, I'm at a lacrosse game, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how do you test the levels? How do you know how much you're freaking taking? But this was allowed. That's a big fucking issue.
Yeah, from what I understand, the doctor gave him way more than he was supposed to get.
Yeah, and then, and again, that's a shitty fucking thing. I couldn't believe how all that
the
shit
doctor
went down.
probably, like, a lot of these doctors, especially TRT doctors, they're in those days, they probably wanted to prove the effectiveness of TRT. They're like, well, more is better. Yeah. Let's fucking fill him up, turn him into a fucking silverback. Let's go.
And then again, you're not told what to take. How much is it? And
then when you see those guys get off of everything and their bodies deflate, like Vitor when he fought Chris Weidman, was like, Jesus Christ, this is this is weird to see.
Yep. Yeah. And it becomes a mental thing too because you need that.
Oh,
again,
for sure.
it's again you have it, and when you can't do it, it's such a mental thing. Again, that's when you can stay strong mentally. That's why I love this guy. This guy is so fucking strong mentally that, again, he doesn't need anything fucking else. And it's the guys like that. Again, Shane Carwin's best performance, he had a beer at night and he was eating nachos going, I don't even know if I'm going to fucking fight. Because that brainstem thing, and he's eating nachos. And I'm sitting here going, fucking crazy motherfucker. And one of his best performances.
Yeah.
Mentally. Because he was okay. This guy worked as an engineer, would drive an hour to the gym at nighttime, train at nighttime, drive all the way back home, grab like a cheeseburger on the way home because he ain't got time to get anything else. Just crazy.
That is nuts that he was working full time.
It's crazy.
While he was one of the best heavyweights on the planet.
On The Ultimate Fighter, when he coached The Ultimate Fighter, he was working. In between workouts, he was doing full work for his engineer job. It was crazy. Just crazy.
While he was coaching The Ultimate Fighter?
Yep.
That's insane.
I remember Dana asked him to quit his job. He's going to pay him more. And he's like, no. He's like, I already got out of the NFL because of an injury. And I know I could get injured at any point. And he's like, no, smart dude.
Well, he had a fucked up back, right, from football?
Yep.
How bad was it?
Very bad. I mean, he got to pre-train for preseason, and then he never went through. And then he started fighting because he had fun. He went to a Ron Waterman fight. Was friends with Ron Waterman. He jumped in because they needed a
That's
opponent.
Crazy that it's okay for fighting, but it wasn't okay for football.
No,
that shows you
his back in the Frank Mir fight,
fucked.
his back was so messed up. In the Roy Nelson fight, he had to pull out because of his back. His back was always an issue.
He wound up getting surgery on it, right?
I'm not too sure. A lot of outside stuff too.
So
Yeah.
after the Nate Marquardt situation, you just started up your own gym? Is that what happened?
All the fighters left.
Why'd they leave?
Well, we had a manager come in, and I had a dispute with the managers, and they started managing all the guys, and they wanted to be a part of Grudge, and I didn't want to settle for what they were talking about. And they started training in a different gym, and when me and Nate kind of didn't see eye to eye on it because the way their publicist put something out, so I don't do interviews no more, because I was like, oh, you put my words the wrong way. Like, me and Nate talked it out and became friends again. I was like, I had your back. That gray area pissed me off. Like, I was like, I had to speak about it. But the way that whole situation was handled, Nate left, everybody left. I was like,
when you
cool.
say
I
the
started
gray
with him
area-
brand new. I had him. I had Rose. Yeah, the gray area meaning the TRT.
Right.
Where I was like, I was pissed. I was like, you guys are going to cut him out and shun him like this and say that he's doing this when you allowed him to take TRT, but there's no way you can tell how much he's taking?
Right.
Like, it's crazy to me.
They can only tell the levels that you have.
But you said it's okay,
Yeah.
and like again, and then you
Right.
took him off a suspension for this, and then said, "All right, cool, everything's back to normal." And
'Cause
he's like,
they needed
"Oh,
someone
doctor,
to
I got a
fight."
fight coming
Yeah.
up," and
Yeah.
it's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like they said, "All right, we'll test it after this fight." I'm like, dude, it's just crazy. It's where things again. That was a very bothersome time for me. But when the whole team left, because Nate left because we didn't see eye to eye, he was pissed at what I said, and I was standing up for him. I was like, all right, whatever, see it the way you want to see it. And I've always been about my guys, fighter first. And the whole team left. So I was like, once that happened, I was like, man, am I going to go work at Home Depot? What am I going to do? But I just got a new fucking gym, big-ass gym. He was brand new with me. Rose was brand new. I was like, I'll start over. This is,
Wow.
and
The crazy
did
thing
it
is,
from the beginning again.
I came in through the other manager.
Yep. And I only did the year for 2 years.
And right when I was like, I ain't fucking leaving Trevor. You guys are stupid.
Yeah.
I was like, this motherfucker's a genius. What are you thinking? And then thank God they left. Because, now I got him to myself.
And after,
Fuck them.
after my lease was up, I let the gym go and started an equipment company and started focusing on how can I, because I respect every fighter who fights. I have so much respect for you getting in there. And as I get older, I get a little softer side to me. It's like even when we win, I see the other person lose. Like, it's hard for me to celebrate. Seeing them down is a hard thing. Like Cowboy, that was a hard fight for me. Like, I didn't think it would be hard at all. Looking across the cage wasn't hard at all. He's a gangster, and I know we'd still be cool. But when the ref wasn't stopping the fight when he's hitting him with the uppercuts, like, I jumped up on the canvas. Could have caused the disqualification. Because there's still no real set rule on how do I stop a fucking fight.
Right.
It happened in New Mexico.
You can't
in
stop my
Mexico.
opponent's fight.
But I jumped up, like, stop the fucking fight. And then I ended up walking back with Cowboy all the way to the back. It made me emotional. It's hard. Like, here, we're stopping him. He's on his next title run, and we're stopping him in his tracks, stopping him moving forward. And he's moving forward. Yes, it's my fighter. I want him to move forward and all those things. But with age, it's been harder for me. And again, I respect every person who gets out there and inspires people. So I started sewing in the gym, and then I moved into my basement, and I was like, you know what? I want to start something new. I want to be able to help every athlete out there that goes out there and risks their life. So I started making equipment. And with my injuries, I just couldn't coach
That's why Shane broke
big
his
guys
nose.
anymore. My body was so fucked up all the time. Like,
What kind of injuries do you have?
I've had all sorts of injuries, dude. It's like, and they're always lasting.
Elbows and wrists.
And like, when you're drinking a beer with a straw, you're at the bar and you're drinking with a straw, you can't pick it up because you got the mashed potato hand and what is good for mixing.
Your wrist is that fucked
Oh,
up?
dude, my hands are so bad. So look at how my hand opens. Mm-hmm. See, it's
There's a cup.
not dented from taking punches. I just believe it's from me trying to squeeze onto mitts because I got small hands, and you got no left or right when it comes to a mitt. And I'm holding mitts on, trying not to let them fly across the room. I think it's just created my ligaments and my hand is shaped that way.
Whoa.
Like, isn't that crazy? But my forearms are so
So
bad
your hand
all the
doesn't
time.
flatten out.
Not at all.
Isn't
that crazy?
It's a cup.
It's like I'd go in the hot tub and push my fingers and try to separate them, and it'd be like the most painful thing ever. But elbow issues, I'm on the inside of my forearms.
People don't realize how hard it is holding mitts, especially for
And
big guys.
The body punches, like my chest bone clicks now because of him. He's got I just can't take chest shots. But I started making equipment because I needed it. Like I was like, I needed to make shit out there because you don't. I had sponsorships by companies. They'd send me mitts and they're like, give us some feedback. And I'd be like, the colors are cool. But I would cut them open and refoam them. And I've been doing this for 15 years, refoaming I'd go find different foams because I needed something soft, take the shock off, but you needed something a little bit dense to keep the bone from bone and happening.
You do the whole deal, right, with sewing machines
I
and
took
everything.
my mom's sewing machine. I said, can I borrow your sewing machine? And I tried to make a mitt that had a left and a right that I wouldn't have to squeeze my hands to hold on to because my hands are so weak. And after 2 sessions, I was like, dude, I can't even hold the mitts.
Wow.
Like kicks, I couldn't even hold on to the tie pads. It's freaking crazy. So it started by need. And then I'd be at fights, and all these high-level coaches are like, where'd you get that? I'm like, I made that one. I remember the first pair of mitts I made, they're so ugly. I went to Joanne Fabrics and got some materials and made these mitts. And every coach in my gym was like, dude, I want a pair. And I was like, cool, pay for the materials. I'll make you some. And, man, all of a sudden I'm like a year out from these custom stuff. And I'm an artist at heart. So once I started learning how to sew, then I'm starting to learn materials. And it just went crazy from an equipment coaching standpoint. And then I was like, you know what? I need to release something for the fighters. And the hand issues and the training issues that I was always dealing with, almost all the time my fighters were going into fights, they were injured. They were going into fights injured. And that's common. Like, you can talk to anybody, they're going into fights injured. And they have to, because they're not going to get paid if they're not fighting. And they're like instantly. I could name a guy who's had how many surgeries, and he continues to fight like with bad injuries. And he's like, well, I'll get a surgery afterwards. And he's fighting off adrenaline, but how many times? Like the Shane Carwin fight, going into it injured, able to perform, and I was a psychologist. And once I started doing this equipment, it clicked. Everybody's like, yeah, we need better stuff. We need stuff that's made for MMA. We need MMA equipment. It's crazy to me. There's a picture of you back in the day where you had this headgear on that was small, just covered your forehead. And I'm like, why are people wearing these big-ass headgears? That's like old school. When they made boxing headgears, people think boxing headgear is safe. It is not safe. You're putting heavier weight on your head that blocks your vision, and if you can't see a shot coming, and you knock me with that heavier weight on there, you're causing way more linear damage to me. Think about like when you're at that park. I always think about the little springs with the dinosaur on it. My daughter gets on and it's like, just bounces back and forth. But if I get on it, I like hang down.
Remember how Mike Tyson used to wear that real thin headgear?
Yeah, totally.
Same deal.
Totally.
It's just to
like
prevent
Cuts. That's all we need. I wear it a month out.
And then in MMA, like MMA is not the norm to have headgear on. It's not, because you grapple, you do all these different things. So you get the clip in the way, you can't do any type of grappling with it. So I'm on a mission to create all this new stuff. Again, just evolve. And it's never going to be better, but each time get a little better, little better, little better. The UFC glove, the one that Rashad brought on, the glove is the same in the UFC. It's still the Wano pattern. Remember the Wano glove? The only thing they did different is the skirt. They used to have a skirt. It was a pain in the ass to get on. Shane Carwin, I remember we had to cut into his gloves one time, and that's why that was changed. Shane Carwin's hand was so big that they had to change the glove size because Brock was a 4X. Then when they had to make a 5X, but they actually opened up the skirt because of that. Because Shane Carwin, the commission allowed us to cut it open. But when it comes to the glove,
Terrible. They're the worst gloves.
I can't even say it's the worst glove. It's really the only glove. They did have the Pride gloves that were really good.
They were better.
They were better.
Made your hands.
It's the worst part of the night for me when I fight. Is putting those gloves on. You start getting a burning in your forearms. Just to make a fist, you're constantly fighting against yourself just to make a fist. It's constantly pulling you open.
The natural thing for
natural
those gloves is
boom,
keep your hand
it makes
open.
no sense. It pulls you here. And then to make it, you literally have to strain the whole time with your forearms.
Everyone complains.
Put this on
these
your
are
left. Do you mind if I run around to the side of the table with you?
No. Go ahead.
That's one of the ones. I think I knocked out.
So this is.
I got cowboy with that one.
So
this is the UFC glove.
Yep.
So that's the UFC glove.
Right.
Can you take off your watch so I can?
Yeah.
Because the strap is key.
Yeah, sure. And so yours are the other ones? The white ones are yours?
Yes, these are mine. So let's put that on so I can kind of explain something.
Okay. We're going to explain it to microphone.
So this is what happens with fighters and anybody who's worn fought with gloves like this. They put this on, they get the strap on, and they also have a hand wrap underneath this. So what happens is when you go to make a fist, go ahead and make a fist. Notice that it's hard to do this, and when you do this, you start getting a lot of pressure in between your fingers here, and that's a huge thing that fighters feel. What's his name? Robin Rowe actually has he's one of the cut men. He has a wood tool that's the end of a hammer that stretches these out because the pressure it puts right here. Okay, it's also hard to make a grip. So when you go to make a grip here, it's tough because it's a gardening glove. It's got all these straight finger pieces here, so you're packing all this material here.
And then as you squeeze it, it's hard. It's
hard.
Constantly, you have to use your forearms
at the end of the fight. That's what everybody talks about.
It's
Again,
this.
I haven't had the experience.
Right.
Turning over your punches is where it really gets you.
So when you put this on, and I want to kind of explain this. This is the right hand.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I actually made space back here for the hand wrap. Okay. Now there's a strapping system that goes down inside this. So when I pull on this, you'll notice this piece right here. actually pulls on this. There's no fingers, so it's easy to grab onto.
Mm-hmm.
There's space for the hand wrap, but this strap is actually connected here with a seatbelt type of material that pulls on the back of the metacarpal. So when I pull on this, you'll actually feel it lock up on the back of your hand.
Oh, this is way better.
And then when you wrap like this, there is no grabbing of the glove, so you're not going to be able to grab like with the Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
It puts you in
So
such
you're
a
not gonna have here,
comfortable
but
hand, but
look
like
at
it's a
how you're relaxed.
normal position.
Have you brought these to the UFC?
I have. I've been speaking.
You showed me these quite a while ago, and I said it before, and
So-
I think you've improved on them. But
So
this is far superior.
Dana loved the gloves. He was blown away by them when he seen them.
This
And
is
he,
way better.
He liked the lace up.
It's so much more comfortable.
The issue is they're with a company called Diaco. That's one who makes the manufacturing products. And they wanted to own the technology because all of our stuff is patented. I've went through the patenting processes. I put
So the company
6
that makes
years
the UFC gloves wants to own your shit.
completely. They no, they don't want to own it. The UFC wants to own it.
Oh, come on.
So the thing is with it is, again, I feel like I want to bring this to all organizations, but that's
Yeah.
not really the real issue. Like the finger pokes is one thing. At least you're getting paid to do what you do.
But just this right here, where it's not
Like your
forcing your
grip-
hand open.
Your
comfortable.
grip is
Yeah.
so good.
Comfortable. I
So
feel
much
comfortable.
better.
So notice the spot on the side too. The
Oh, yeah,
pointer knuckle.
protected, which is huge
You
for-
remember when
Yeah,
when
that happens all the
Ronda
time.
fought Sarah McMahon? She actually cut her knuckle right here.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me, underneath the hand wrap and everything, but the glove sits up above your hand, so you don't protect that or hammer fists. And again, being able to shape to the
That's the lead
to a
break
hand
in our
wrap.
sport.
Yeah.
Boxers is the 4th and 5th metacarpal, and MMA is the first metacarpal.
Yeah. Lot
Because
of
of the
thumbs as
distance.
well,
Because of the
right?
thumb, and so the first and second.
This
yeah.
is so superior.
It is. It's a great glove, but again, it's the training issues that I was focused on. I didn't need, like when I heard they needed a glove, I was like, cool, I could make a glove for him. So I made a glove. That's actually how I made my wallet because I was like, all right,
Oh,
let me
dude.
think through
Have
this.
you
So
seen his wallet?
I cut their
Yeah.
gloves. You've seen it a few times, but I cut their glove up to see what foam they're using. I mean, there's technology foam out there, and it's crazy that our sport is not using any type of technology foam. It's crazy. But
So
if you
what
look
is
at
technology foam and what is this
so
foam?
it's made for contact. It's made for to take contact, not like what you sit on, like a pad that you sit on.
And that's what this is?
No.
That's EVA
UFC
foam.
stuff.
Yes, it's
The UFC
it's-
foam is the shit you sit on.
So
This is not designed for hitting things. Is that what you're saying?
it's not designed for hitting things. Again, it's up to the manufacturer to be able to produce. But again, that's not a huge thing. Again, in the fight, you want to have
So much better for your
you
hand.
want to for your hand. Like
I mean, this is. I mean,
It's night and day.
So again,
Night and day.
I don't want to talk shit about their glove. They don't know what
Please,
they
talk
don't
shit
know.
about their glove.
No, the thing is
want me
the
to?
injuries in training. Like the training
Right,
injuries
yeah.
drive me freaking crazy.
And we're
'cause
not
as a
using those
coach,
gloves.
It's
Yeah.
all these gloves out there that you're getting for $60. If you're buying a glove for $60, it's getting made for probably $5, $6, $7. Like it's crazy to me the stuff that I'm cutting open. The gloves that are say 16 ounces on them, that weigh 11 ounces. Like I got to show you a
Really?
glove. I
Yeah,
gotta-
right and left never wears the same. Right's always lighter.
Like you,
Because
if
trying to promote-
anybody's out there,
they want you to
I
think you're
recommend
faster in
you
their
start
gloves.
weighing all your
It's fucking
gloves
crazy.
to see what they weigh. It blows my mind. Me being a gym owner, that you have to sign a waiver to come into my gym. It's crazy to me that gloves they're cookie cutter tags.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one's checking this. There's no quality checking when you're sparring
Right.
with things.
well, your boxing gloves are amazing too. They really are excellent. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. So,
So that was from season 10 with the heavyweights.
so this is supposed to be how many ounces?
16.
It's 11 ounces. Wow,
And that's for the heavyweights to spar with.
that's crazy. That's not good.
That's a professional fight
That's
glove.
not good.
Crazy.
But just the contour of these, I think, would take out a lot of eye pokes.
it would
because
take out a lot of eye
The
pokes.
fact that your hand is like naturally pulling open on the UFC glove, it's sort of it lends itself to these eye pokes.
And you get to perform better. Like
Yeah,
if your
'cause
hand
this
can
is-
stay in a better position, my forearm isn't getting bent out of shape.
it's-
Plus with your gloves like this, so if my glove is pulling my hand back like this, it's like doing a push-up on my door docking knuckles.
right.
I have no leverage.
Right.
Like it's going to help performance. It's going to
Of
help.
course.
It promotes-
I'm more about the performance when it comes to the fight glove. When it comes to the training stuff, it's about getting to the fight healthy and not having to pull out of a fight.
So
And-
explain to me the issue of getting this passed through, because this is the best glove for MMA.
So there,
for sure.
there was a few issues. Have you tested it? And I said, all right, listen, how your glove's never been tested. What has it been tested with? That's another issue that just boggles me, that our equipment has never been tested. NFL, you go to any other sport league, all equipment is tested.
Snowboarding, skiing.
I think everybody looks at this stuff, especially when it comes to putting stuff on. You're a fighter. Oh, you got to deal with head concussions. You got to deal with this. Well, football, they're playing a game. how many times are they testing stuff in other sports? But look at our injury rate. We have 70% of injuries are happening in training, not the fight. That's crazy. You have no equipment on in the fight, and more injuries are happening in training. That blows my mind.
Well, it's because you're training a lot more than you're fighting.
Yeah, but again, like you think about football, like I've had someone tell me, hey, but they stop hitting in practice. And I'm like, yeah, but you play every week. So you're fighting every week. So it's a whole different thing. You need to be able to spar to know that you can make the right decisions in that hurricane, to be able to know that you're conditioned to fight. So again, you have to be able to train like that. Some of the biggest injuries I've seen in training are like someone getting hit with a knee when they don't have a knee pad on. They're throwing a kick, someone's shooting down, they hit the knee. Josh Copeland ended up getting 17 stitches in my gym because the other guy didn't have a knee pad on. Like, where are the standards when it comes to training? That's a huge thing, too, is you got guys coming in and going, oh, man, I've just got hand-me-down equipment. It's been used for 4 years. The foam's broken down. Again, why is headgear used? To stop cuts so you can get to the fight.
Do you make a headgear or a knee pad as well?
So I've been testing. I've had the same.
Check out. So this is the headgear.
That's your headgear.
So
that's much
no
better.
clip, so you can grapple.
Oh.
So, like, super cool. Here, I'll give you one to feel the...
Okay, so it Velcro's on the top.
So feel the weight behind this.
Oh, wow, that's super light. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's perfect in terms of the amount of protection, too. Like, it's not delusional. It's like it's not keeping
It's to
you
stop
from...
cuts.
Yeah. It's not...
Simply to stop cuts.
Yeah.
I run into an
Like-
elbow. I run into a hip. I run into a knee.
I bet you can see way better with this, huh?
Yeah.
There's
So-
no blind spots.
That's why I make the angles like I do on this headgear. So if you look at the one with our funny-looking mannequin, you're going to see you lose no vision with it.
Yeah, no, you could tell. Oh, that's so much better. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, you don't have any peripheral problems.
There's no blind spots.
That's excellent.
And
yeah.
the foam that we're using this is what I'm talking about, technology foam. Feel this.
Okay. As opposed to what other kind of foam?
EVA foam is in, I'd say, 95% of headgears.
And is it just cheaper?
It's
Check
just
this out.
cheaper. Yes, it's cheaper.
So
You're
what
going to
is-
find carpet padding. You're going to find, see the
Okay.
bounce, the recoil?
So this absorbs energy. This is what he's talking about. And
So
That's crazy.
Think of
So
water.
let's explain this for people that are just listening. He had this one foam, the EVA cheaper foam, and Justin's dropping, what is that, a ball bearing or something?
just a marble, big marble. I got a
Large
big one, but we don't
marble.
want to stop.
And then it hits that cheap foam and it bounces like crazy. But when it hits the technology foam, it stops dead in its tracks because it completely absorbs the impact.
Think about water. The faster you hit it, the faster you'll stop. If you go into it slow, you just kind of slide through it. So that
Right.
stuff, it feels like NASA foam, like super soft. It sticks to your head, doesn't move around, so it forms to your head. Drop the bigger ball in there.
That's crazy.
Now drop it on one of those other ones. It'll actually pinch the foam through it
Yeah, if it
and
was-
cause damage
Right.
to it. So you think about gloves. How many times are you hitting something? And in boxing, you're not allowed to spar with the gloves that you're hitting bags with because you break the foams in.
Right.
And again, it's just
Of course.
crazy to me. There's no new technologies when it comes to these types of things.
even if I don't know what kind of pad is under where we fight, but if something was there to absorb the energy when we got knocked out and our head hit the back, I would assume that it would be better for us
Yeah.
health wise.
Yeah.
All of these things.
So with shin guards, most people deal with the injury on the instep. So when the shin guard is made, you have this instep and you got the soft spot on the weakest part of your foot.
Yeah.
Knee checks is like one of the biggest injuries.
So many ligaments.
And again, all the time your feet are like, ah, damn, I got checked right on that spot. I'm actually making gear that has a boot back behind it, so that protects
interesting.
that spot. So you'll see it pop out. So it's foamed back behind where you actually zip in. So that's all protected on the soft spot. And I have not found a shin guard out there. 90% of shin guards aren't left or right either. You kind of just got to form
Right.
it to your body. You look at the straps and say, which way do they go? And another pet peeve of mine, when I'm a coach and I got a world-class athlete and they're stopping every time they throw a kick to say, hey, man, let me fix my shin guard. It's turning.
Yes.
Drives me freaking crazy.
Right.
So I made shin guards that's actually going to fit, not turn on. You cover your toes, actually have flex where your toe goes. You can adjust the bottom. It's zip in the boot area, so there's no sliding. Like, just, again, rethinking how things are made. Knee pads. Knee pads protecting on the side, so if I go to throw a knee, I'm not going to hit you with the side. These guys are using volleyball knee pad guards.
Right.
It just drives me crazy. Like, world-class sport. World class.
I know.
And nothing has changed. So that's what I've been doing in my basement, having a blast doing. Just creating this new shit to keep guys lasting long.
And I'm the tester. I'm serious. I have not been hurt in 5 years in training. It's
Super cool.
when I have forgot my shin guards 2 times, I believe, and putting other ones on, it's like I feel so vulnerable when I'm wearing them. It's
Right.
There's no comparison, and I mean I sound biased, but
No, I
top
think-
level athletes when they put this on,
We
it's
sell out every
unbelievable how
time, and
different it
elite
is.
athletes are using our stuff, which is super, super cool. Try this pad on. Don't
I
say
think
what's inside of it.
you might
That's a
sound
right hand.
biased, but I think you're right. I think you're telling
Well,
the truth. I think this. I mean, look, just the quality of this shit. I mean, Trevor, you sent me some of this stuff before, and I've raved about it. It's excellent. I mean,
Did you heat it up? Did you heat mold the foam?
No.
So I didn't think I explained that to you. I just
No.
kind of said it about to you.
How do I
You
heat
got
it up?
You put a hairdryer in there for 4 minutes and watch what happens, dude. Fucking
Breaks them
crazy.
in.
But
What-
I made
what
those
happens?
handles.
then you
this
put
is
your
excellent.
put your
It
hand
forms
in
your
there
hand.
and kind of form. It has like a moldable foam on our base layer.
So you did this because of all the problems you were having with your hands. With
yeah. So
traditional
now I wanted
mints.
something I could just hang on. Like I feel like I can hang on
Oh,
something
yeah.
a long time like this.
Yeah.
And the handle on a tie pad is
this
hard
is
for me to
excellent.
grip with weak hands. Isn't that crazy?
And
Super
do you
cool.
do you make these a longer form for tie for like kicking? or do you
I
just
make
kick with
everything. I
these?
make everything two forms. So all of the gear that we sell, we custom make 2 sizes. So we separate the foot size because you think like Rashad Evans. Rashad Evans has a fat calf, okay, and he has real short legs. So he has to get the extra larges where it comes up where he can't wear knee pads because the shin guards are this high, and then he's got this foot pad that doesn't fit his big ass foot. Like he's got an awkward size. So we're shaping everything. We actually went to the UFC. We're doing 3D scans.
Yep.
And we shape the equipment to you. Super freaking
So
cool.
explain to me again why the UFC doesn't adopt this glove.
Yeah,
I love you.
Hey,
I love
I
you.
spent 2 years there, and again, Dana gets it. I don't want to sell this to the UFC. I would much rather give it to Dana. I feel like Dana helped grow this industry, what it is, but they're not Zuffa no more. They're a different company.
Yeah.
And again, it's very hard. I'm speaking, like you were talking earlier, I speak a language they can't understand. They don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
They don't understand the issues that I deal with. When we talked
So
about
when
the
you
gloves.
say they, are you talking about the owners?
No, I'm talking about the people who handle the deals. They don't sit back in the locker rooms and deal with what goes on with the fight gloves, how your arms
They
get
don't
tired.
even know their gloves suck. They have no
Right.
idea their gloves suck.
They have no idea.
But it's
Yeah.
not, again, you don't know
They
what
don't
you
have
don't
to know. Why
Right.
would? Yeah. Why
Right.
would they?
Right. They're like, well, look, we put on this fight. Max Holloway and Volkanovski, they wore the regular gloves. We're fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Every single fighter has a complaint about your gloves.
These
That's
are so
what they
much
should
better.
know.
They're
And so they wanted to own the technology, and that technology that I have, the internal strapping system, is actually a technology that can go into any sport and is used in all my equipment. So I was like, dude, I can't just do that for the fight glove. And again, I want this in all organizations.
right. So
But my goal is the training aspect first. Again, I want to help the fighters get to the fight. That's key. They got to get paid.
I mean,
Then it's
when you get-
secondary.
When you order our shin guards, they come by your shoe size, by your shin length. You're gonna get a video. It's gonna tell you how to give us your measurements. You're gonna get a custom fit.
We custom
If you
tailor
think
it
about
to
Tim
you.
Means, Duran Win. Like it's just
Crazy.
such a crazy.
Yeah.
When we did 3D scans, who was there? Because I wasn't there
Yeah, so
for that.
we have a 3D body scanner. We're currently scanning all UFC athletes that want to get scanned.
Because we want to test it with them.
And we're gonna give them a fight kit. It's gonna be shin guard, headgear, 7-ounce gloves. I didn't bring you my 7-ounce gloves to show you, but they're sweet. 16-ounce gloves and a pair of 4-ounce MMA.
So the 7-ounce gloves are bag gloves, or do you use them?
I use those as an MMA. Fighter. We spar 2 times
Like
a week.
MMA
One day is
sparring.
16-ounce glove. One day is MMA sparring. So we use 7-ounce gloves.
And what does this weigh? Is this 4?
That's 4 ounces.
Okay.
That's a fight glove.
That one's actually the same as the other one, the 5.8 ounces.
This seems like it protects your knuckles so much better.
Totally.
I mean, it's
And
just
we go back
night
to the
and day.
4-ounce gloves. Again, everybody thinks every UFC glove is 4 ounces. You're going from 5X to extra small. So you're
How could it
going
be?
from about 8 point something ounces all the way down to like 2.9 ounces is for the
Extra small, yeah, women's.
for flyweights.
Yeah, flyweights. Yep.
This is amazing. This is really good. So what has to be done?
So this is
Seems like
so
someone
I-
needs to
I-
put some pressure on somebody.
Well, again, it's when it comes to testing things, like we're testing things, you got to see the testing that we're doing, dude. It's super fucking cool. I've got data collectors right here. Check out this hand that we got. It's got sensor points on it to be able to tell the force. Because they were like, "Well, do you have it
They have a
tested?"
fake hand.
Yeah, so it's a rubber hand with sensors in it to be able to test. So we're testing everything because they were like, "Have you tested it? Have you proved it?" I'm like, "What am I testing against? Like, what do you guys want me to test it against?" Like,
There's no
just
What does
crazy.
that mean? Are you testing it? Listen,
This is super
give it to
cool,
a fighter. Tell him to put it on. Do you like it? Yeah, this is better. Listen to him. That's the test.
So this is pretty cool. Move to the right.
Okay.
So those are X-rays with gloves on, so you can kind of see how I think. I know what a glove feels like on the inside. Almost all boxing gloves have you in a door-knocking knuckle position, and there's so much floating space. Wait till you see the X Factor glove in there. Look at the foam. It's so cool how it supports around your hand.
Are these your wraps?
Yeah, those are wraps that I actually stepped away from because we put the straps inside the glove. So they say that when you start to think
you
like
don't use wraps?
I haven't used wraps in 3 years.
So let me talk about this real quick.
Okay. Even for heavy bag gloves?
Nothing.
So I would never tell anybody that back in the day because I'd be like, when I was fighting, I was
these were the wraps, or these are the wraps
so
that are
those
now
are
inside the
those
gloves?
are wraps. How I started Onix was I started with hand wraps outside of my equipment that I was doing. I was like, all right, what can I bring to market? So I started a patent on hand wraps. And with this patent, it came into the gloves. I was like, well, fuck, if I can make gloves that have support system in it, because you think about what do you need a hand wrap for? And I'm not talking a professional hand wrap that you fight in. I'm talking about the 120-inch wrap that gets tangled up in your laundry and stinks up your gloves when you put them on. This wrap that I was doing, I was able to put inside the glove. And if I'm able to make a glove fit in a size so the strapping pulls the glove down to shrink against your hand,
Pulls it up.
if I have a glove that's too big, I've always had small hands. And when I have this extra space, I go to hit him. He bobs it and weaves his head. And my hand does this and tweaks because the glove is this much longer on this side. I start to cause hand problems. Okay, when I'm wrapping my hands, all I'm doing is adding more material in the ball of my hand here. So if we're grabbing onto something, the more material I have in between my hand. Let me see that foam real quick, the yellow foam. So when you're putting wrap on, and you got material inside your hand here, Joe, I've also got the material from the glove. So the more the material I put inside my hand here, I stop getting my natural fist.
Right.
I start to get this. And that causes my leverage points to start causing injuries. If you have ligament injuries, it's because you don't have any flex behind, so I can't pack my fist, so I'm stretching my fingers. If I'm not lining my strong bones up, meaning my metacarpal's down with my strong bone, I'm not getting the correct alignment in my fist. If I start going to my door-knocking knuckles, I'm not lining my wrist up.
For people who are just listening to this too, Trevor has a whole series of X-rays of a person's hand inside regular gloves and then inside his gloves. And it shows you that with the Onix gloves, you're getting a flat knuckle at the top. So it'd be just like balling your fist with nothing in your hand and punching someone with the knuckles, as opposed to, like you said, hitting him with that door knock position.
We have a tiny, because again, this is not good, but any kind of flex here is going to cause ligament damage.
So Rose would not go without wraps.
Tiny bit.
She would not go without wraps. And then after 6 months of using the gloves, she's like, I'm going to try it without wraps. She didn't have a fight scheduled. I always recommend, hey, man, if it gets what you... Again, change is hard for a lot of people. I would never have done it when I was fighting.
Do they force you to wrap your hands in the UFC?
No, you're not forced to. I mean, they're going to send a cut man to you. Now, a professional hand wrap is different because when I get a professional hand wrap on, there's a little space of material. So it's like grabbing onto a finger.
Right.
That's great. I got a little bit of grip. But when you start packing too much material, like the hand wrap's 120 inches, that's where the issue is. If I don't know how to wrap my hand, I'm causing more damage because I'm putting too much material.
Right, and you're stressing out the ligaments.
And again, that's what's causing the damage in the hands. And again, hand injuries that's your money makers. That's
so one more time, what do we have to do to get this into the UFC? So because this is,
I think we either wait for the Diaco deal to get up, or we continue to do what we're doing.
Is Diaco the company that makes these? Is that what who's Diaco?
So Diaco is now making the glove for the UFC.
Okay.
Okay, it used to be Century before that.
Okay.
Century was doing it.
Their deal is for how long? Do we know?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We want those in the UFC.
This is way better.
Yeah, it's way better. But again, my goal, Joe, like that's the fight is not the huge issue. I did that as a favor. Like I was like, I could help. It'd be great marketing too, right?
Right.
But my thing is helping the injuries, the ones that I dealt with the issues of people having crappy gloves. I mean, think about it.
I understand what you're saying, but let's get to the heat of the matter here. So Diaco, is that how you say the name? Diaco?
DYACO.
So they want this technology? They want to own it?
No,
to have this in the UFC?
UFC wants to own it.
UFC wants to own it.
But they want me to work with Diaco to be able to do it. Now, if I work with Diaco, they want to put the UFC brand on it, and they want me to partner with Diaco. No, we're our own company. Like, it's not even
offering you anything to do this, or they just want to just absorb it?
Hey, man. It's not even anything to
valuable.
what this is. I'm going to change this whole freaking game when it comes to something like now, if someone like a Nike comes to me and says, hey, man, let's partner, let's do something, that's a different thing. Now I got access to great manufacturing. Our issues right now is we keep selling out because I'm dealing with a manufacturer that makes snowboard boots because they have the best strapping system. They have the best materials because it's waterproof, doesn't take on water, doesn't start to get the bacterias. I've used so many different manufacturing companies that make gloves already, and they can't make what I make because they're stuck in their old patterns, their old ways of making gloves that way.
Right.
I've tried so many. So we make them out of house.
Jesus Christ. So this is a problem. So when the
No,
UFC
that's the solution.
This is the solution.
That's the
but
solution, no doubt.
this is a problem. This is not in the UFC. And
It will be. There's no doubt in my mind. It's one of those things.
but
that,
the UFC
yeah.
wants to own this patent.
Yeah, they want to own it. Like I said, I want to work with Dana. Dana wants that glove.
And so Dana knows about this.
100%.
He's put it on. He's tried it out.
He had, well, me and him had one of the best conversations ever. He's like, man, this is the best thing ever. And
It's the best glove.
yeah, it was one of the best things.
It's hard for people to listen to this and try to put it in their head because half the people are watching, half the people are listening. But for the people listening, I mean, if you're a martial artist and you need to get some MMA gloves, this is by far the best glove I've ever put on my hand.
Happen in the NFL.
What needs to happen?
In the NFL, when you're training, you're using high-level equipment, and it's provided by the NFL. Mm-hmm. That's your athletes.
Right. So the UFC needs to provide it.
This
to these
needs to be.
athletes.
They need to be wearing equipment that's going to protect them, help them get to the fight, and when they're in the fight, be able to perform.
Yeah.
And not deal with what I've been dealing my whole life as being a psychologist, and get people to the fight and worrying about these issues of them fading out and being like thinking about your hand. I had tied my boxing boot too tight one time. I had these high Adidas, those real tall ones back in the day Hearns used to wear, and I tied them too tight on my calf. And I remember all I could think about was my calf muscle. I was like, oh my God, it was such a distraction when I was fighting. Isn't that crazy? Tie your shoestring too tight. This is what they deal with all the time with their hands. First thing they're doing, like, get my glove off. Get my gloves off.
Yeah. It's
And
too
again,
tight. Cuts the circulation off.
It's
your
all they
hands
know.
can't breathe, man. It's such an uncomfortable feeling.
This is night and day.
And that's
between these
made
two
for a
things.
hand wrap. Like, that one is made for a hand wrap. Our fight
there's
glove,
no room in the
I
UFC
made
glove for a
space
hand wrap.
for the hand wrap.
Right.
All it does is cause more pressure when you add a little bit anything
Right.
under there.
Yeah.
So now I got to glove up and get a bigger size glove than I would originally have.
The padding in this thing is so superior too. Like when you punch,
Well, it's the difference in the foam.
The shapes here, it's
if you pound on the
feel
table,
the knuckles. I actually make pocket holes for the knuckle where the
feel it.
padding would be on a hand wrap.
No, it slides in perfect. I feel it. It's amazing.
And again, protecting these areas too, because the number one break in MMA is the number 2 metacarpal.
This shit drives me crazy when there's some fucking roadblock for using the best thing.
I love it, dude. I love so that's what always made me unique is people like my dad told me in the boxing world, he's like, you're going to be a boxing coach? You're too damn nice. And I was like, all right, cool. I went out there and smiled. I was like, thumbs up to everybody, to my opponents. I was like, hey, man. They're like, what the fuck is this guy smiling at? It's actually what kind of built my name. I love that. Give me an obstacle and I'm going to show you. I tell him all the time. Picasso would paint a picture and tell people what he's painting, but people could not see it.
That's what I was saying
what he was
earlier. I don't know what the hell. He's telling me, I'm like, I don't know.
what it looked like before it came out. He's seen it in here, and I see it. Like, I see all the white space that's open. Now it's about leverage and also right partners, right?
Yeah.
Finding the right people who want to get behind something that is so freaking important that is overlooked. It's such a huge market.
Yeah,
It's such a huge
It
market.
is a huge market.
Everything gets attributed to boxing, but boxing is not the. They're probably the main consumer, but they're not the only consumer. MMA is so big; it's getting so much
that's
traction.
the funny thing. Boxing equipment market. Everybody thinks boxing equipment market. I said no. It's all the MMA guys buying the boxing gloves.
And
There's
Probably
smart
a
at
lot
boxing
of it,
gloves. 100%.
if you look up MMA gloves, it's, you're buying boxing gloves. If you look
You're
up
buying those
MMA
MMA
shin
gloves.
guards,
There's not much.
you're buying
People ain't buying fight
kickboxing
gloves.
shin guards.
Yeah.
There's no
buying training
MMA
gloves.
equipment, and we are specifically MMA equipment. This is when I grapple with this. It's similar to a headgear. I wrestled with the headgear my whole life. It's not comfortable. Headgear was never comfortable, but it's protecting me from cuts, and I can still do what I need to do.
Trevor, you make anything for just jiu-jitsu?
I can make anything, dude.
Literally,
Oh, 100%.
whatever you want. He can
We're
make it,
we're
dude.
keeping it simple, and we're actually releasing our shin guards and headgears. People have been waiting for a while because I made some. That's how I started making a headgear. Was TJ got cut? Dwayne called me and said, "Hey
you
man,
have
it's
a
2 weeks out
picture?
from a fight."
It
And
broke his nose.
And no, that was Corey Sandhagen, where I made the sweet ass headgear. So,
You know the basketball players that wear the little. the
Yeah.
vest?
he had one of those on, and I was like,
stitched
"Bro, you
one
got bifocals? I never knew you had bifocals." That
He
was
stitched
funny
one
shit.
into a headgear.
Really?
It was freaking crazy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Is that the face
Corey.
mask? Yeah, Sandhagen broke his nose.
I was talking about
And he
the
wanted to
TJ.
fight still. And so we're like, well, We got you.
And how long did he wear that in training for?
The whole training camp. He just fought, broke his nose, and then I was in there, and he had another fight scheduled. Such a talented dude. Corey's such a good
He's
dude.
very
Fucking
good.
talented.
Oh, he's good.
as fuck.
Very good
But he was
fighter.
in there with the plastic piece, and I was making headgears at the point, and I was like, dude, let me take that and see what I can do with it. And I came back, and he's like, what the fuck? This is awesome. But TJ, the headgear started with TJ because he went into small headgear he could still grapple with.
There's
Super cool.
I like how it's open for the eyes as well, so you can see out of it clearly. It doesn't get fogged up or sweated
I
up.
told TJ I'd never show anybody those pictures of me sizing him, but look at the cut on his eye.
Oh, wow.
And then slide to the side, you should be able to see a picture of the headgear
Yeah, interesting.
and see how small it is and see how it fits.
Huh. Yeah. That's genius shit, man.
For me, the shin guards. Shin guards are his best thing he's ever made.
What
for
about
me.
heavy bags and stuff along
Oh,
those
dude, I
lines?
got a heavy bag that's so freaking sweet. Dana bought 2 of them.
Yeah?
He bought 2 of them. He was blown away. He came down to the shop, so he brought the whole crew down. Like again, this is something that's super special. Everybody sees it. Everybody gets it. And again,
What's the difference in your heavy bag?
You can hit it.
You
Dude,
can hit it barehanded.
barehanded,
and it's
your
heavy.
Knuckles just sink, and it doesn't hurt one bit. Doesn't scratch you. Doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, he's got some weird beads in there, and some weird.
So
the way he
there's-
stitched it, they don't pack. It's weird.
So old tie bags used to have rice. Okay, rice is really fun to hit, but it packs because it's got that little angle to it. So if you keep kicking, you'll chop and you'll get a dent mark, and it's so hard to work back.
Right.
It's very similar to that. Like it's got tons of weight to it, but you can hit it bare knuckle and not hurt your hands at all. And even with my mashed potato hand, it's one of those things. You got to be able
Strong hand.
to. Again, you're hurting yourself. Like how many bags have you kicked a hard spot? I've had bags fall apart and there's lingerie falling out, scraps of lingerie, pink
Really?
lingerie out of one of my bags. There's stuff in it with scraps.
Right.
Again, where's the technology? They got that new bag out, which is cool. It's a water bag, but do you notice what it is? You know the ball that I'm talking about? You know what that
buoy.
is?
It's a buoy.
It's a buoy.
Oh, that
It's
makes
one,
sense.
it's one of those floating buoys. That's like, I always say, if you got duct tape and a yellow pages, you could make a good body shield. Like you put some handles on there.
Yeah.
People get real creative in the combat sports. Where is the technology? Where is the testing? And that's what we're doing.
So are you selling that heavy bag as well, or is it something
No,
you're
I'm
developing
focused
right now?
on the training gear right now because, again, manufacturing is the issue because we keep selling out. Like our gloves are sold out every time. Every freaking time. I can't even get them here. And then I'm like, fuck, dude.
Because it's such a difficult process to make that they can't make a lot of them.
Dude, they're selling. They're selling.
They can't
sell
keep
out.
up with the demand.
I can't keep up with the demand.
Wow.
I've went back to use my other manufacturer, and now we're working on building manufacturing in the United States. We're actually doing all the shin guards and headgears in the States.
There's such
Super
a
cool.
difference between these two. It's kind of hilarious. it's like everything
pretty
about
comical.
it. Also, this I never liked this side stitching shit. The way these fingers are done. This is so much better where there's no fingers.
There's nothing's exposed. You're
There's
not going to
also
get
no-
any scratches.
There's also no consistency in those UFC gloves. You can pull 10 out of a bag, and
His
they all
last
got
ones?
Yeah, they all
His
got
last
different
one-
malfunctions.
The padding was like way up here. And I was like, bro, look at your padding. It wasn't sunk in all the way, and it was just cut wrong.
just made cheaply. That's unfortunate. I mean, it's really unfortunate when you're dealing with the very best fighters on the planet Earth and they're forced to fight.
What a
with
unique
inferior
sport,
gear.
right? Like professional
Yeah.
fighters training with your common everyday people in the same gym. You're never going to see that in other
Crazy,
sports.
right?
It's crazy.
It's like weird in that fact that like a guy can join an MMA gym and like a month later wind up sparring you.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I could start coaching and be 0-10 as a
Yeah.
fighter and be like, all right, cool, you're fighting in 2 weeks, professional.
yeah.
I could take you and make you a professional fighter in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I can actually sign you up tomorrow for a fight if you want.
That is
Isn't that
weird.
crazy?
That is crazy. Yeah.
It's
like,
crazy to
there's
me.
no real.
That's why everyone's an MMA fighter,
Qualification.
because
That's-
there's
yeah.
zero qualifications.
I want to help
Yeah.
grow this industry and just, again, create some type of standard. And again, keep it safe, man, and keep it fun, and keep the entertainment value high through performance.
If people want this stuff, what's the website address?
ONX Sports, OnixSports.com.
ONX Sports.
Yep.
Onix Sports.
It's cool, Onyx. You see the
There it
one-on-one,
is.
the one-on-one.
There's your website.
The N is the one-on-one because I believe you fight yourself, like you're all decisions. So that's what the one-on-one means. The Y is not in the Onyx because we protect your Y. The Y is internal, so it's all very purposeful. And again, the best thing is when I wrap people's heads at fights and they start going, they start throwing their hands. It's a feeling.
Right.
Like when you know that you got good shit on, I'm telling you, feeling is everything.
We custom print on every single piece of
Yeah, we
equipment.
put everybody's
your
names in
name,
the
put
gym,
whatever you
gym
want.
name.
I put the highlight or Gaethje.
Push other people's things again without the coaches, without everybody else out there. This industry would be nothing, man. It's super cool.
That's very cool.
Fun stuff, huh?
Yeah, it is fun stuff. But I love how much you put so much thought into this.
I freaking, dude. I live at
clear.
that place. I love it. I'm so fucking passionate.
He does not
I just stop. Can't stop, won't stop.
I'm like, what can I help you with? He's like, get out of here. Leave me alone. I'm like, all right.
Especially when I'm prototyping. When I got a new idea, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I got
So
it.
all this is done in your basement?
Dude,
Is
I
that
got
what
that.
you're doing?
Now it's in our
glasses.
office.
Oh, yeah?
I got these glasses. They got the tape in the middle. I got a pocket protector.
We're moving
I
up.
wore one of the white coats.
We're moving up. We got an office now. Shoot, Saturday I fought. Sunday we flew in. Monday I was in the office.
Really?
That's my job.
Look at him there. Look at that face. He's so intense.
He's a perfectionist. That's what kills me, you know. He'll make a headgear. It's perfect. He don't like it. He has to start over. It's like, holy
Evolution.
shit, dude.
Like I'll never be perfect, but I'm always perfecting. That's kind of how I think about things. Things can
Well,
always be
someone's
better.
got to come along and make the very best gear.
You know, the last
mean-
technology that's come out in combat sports is Muhammad Ali used to be able to do this after fights with his thumb, and they attached the thumb.
Right. Yeah, that is the last.
It's crazy, right?
Well, they used to have horsehair in it, too.
It's crazy. Horsehair is cool though, because that's for the
Yeah.
fight. It's like packs a punch, it protects your knuckles, and it gives you a good feeling in the hit.
Yeah.
See, in a fight glove, I still think it's about the fight. But if we can help with finger pokes and bring it back down 10%, that's a cool
yeah, I
thing.
don't think it can be eliminated
If
because
you can
it's
feel-
natural human
yeah.
instinct.
Right.
If your fingers are exposed, someone's going to get a finger in the eye at a certain point.
Yeah, but this, I think, will eliminate a lot of those. I
I
think it'll
believe
eliminate
so.
a lot of those.
I believe it'll eliminate a lot. I don't believe it'll eliminate all.
It might eliminate half.
It's gonna
think so.
elevate the performance big time.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
tell
for
you, that's a
sure,
huge thing.
it's going to prevent a lot of knuckle breaks.
Yep.
A
Oh,
lot of
100%.
metacarpal
With the
breaks.
strapping against the metacarpals,
Yeah.
100%. And it's going to make it a lot easier for the hand wrappers to be able to make a wrap that's going to fit in the glove and then be able to do what they're good at.
And less hand injuries will make for better
We
fights.
fight
Guys can throw harder.
Last longer in their career,
Yeah.
too.
We
we
Right?
fight like 4 inches farther than boxers, and you know it has to be accounted for.
So what
and
he's
that's
talking
the lead
about.
knuckle.
So in boxing, it's this knuckle, because I'm close range, short hooks.
Right.
Short hooks. At long range, when I'm at this range, you have a tendency of leading with your front knuckle, and that's why the front knuckle is always landing first.
Long range because
Long
of
range,
kicks.
yeah,
and
long range.
takedown
Yep.
attempts
You're
and all
about 2
that.
feet
Yeah.
further out than you would be in boxing.
Yeah.
Speaking from a heavyweight division.
Yeah. This is all awesome stuff, man. I'm really excited that
Yeah,
you're,
thanks
you're
for
so
letting me
pumped
talk
up
about it, bro. I geek out about this shit. I'm like a little
Oh, yeah.
child, man.
It's really clearly better
Super
than
cool.
anything else, and these mitts are fucking fantastic.
Those are sweet, right? I had
so
to
you
make
make
myself
them
good
like
ones.
this, but you also make them longer, like a time mitt as well.
I have all sorts
He
of
makes
stuff.
whatever. Like if you want one a little longer, he'll make it a little longer. That's,
Every one of
that's
my
just
patterns
that's
are
the
my
first and
patterns.
only one he's ever
My
made this
own creation.
size.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
And I test it first. That's one thing that we've done. We've done right now
Someone's
5
tested.
years worth of research and development to create the patents. Make sure the patents were right. We got the patents on the headgear, patents on the shin guards, patents on the MMA glove, design patent and technology patent. The strapping system is a utility patent, which is technology. Super cool. It's going to control a lot of shit in the sports industry.
Outside of this kind of equipment, what are your thoughts on like strength and conditioning, and how do you organize that for your fighters? Like, what do you bring in an additional strength and conditioning coach?
Yes, we have one that works on the outside through Lauren Lando, one of the best out there, and he's a guy underneath Lauren. I look at them as how the NFL looks at them. They're there to make you more explosive, more powerful, but they're not there to condition you. I condition the athletes. I condition them for the fights. They get them sharper. They get them more balanced. They get all the stability
So
muscles
you have
working.
them doing strength work and stability work, and the conditioning is all done with fight
conditioning
training.
is with fight training. It has to be sport specific. Has to be.
Interesting.
But we gauge the rounds. Like if he's going 3 rounds, he's going to one, maybe 2 times go 4, maybe 5 rounds. Everything else is 3 rounds. Sometimes 2, I'll pull him back, pull him out. If I start seeing him get lazy or he might make a stupid mistake or he's just tired through the week. And we gauge the training regimens like hard in the beginning, slow down at the end of the week because you start to make lazy mistakes because your body's tired. That's where I've seen a lot of injuries happen.
Do you work with the strength coach to have like a coordinated schedule? So you say, hey, he's going to be sparring today. Let's not have any strength work that day.
We change that throughout the fight. Like for each fighter that we're fighting, different stuff. It will change it for that. If he needs to be stronger, if he needs to be faster, it's on the game plan that I put together prior to the fight. And then with what he's doing. And where we get the most use out of him, too, he makes the biggest gains is off of training camps.
Really?
That's where he makes the biggest gains. It's where he gets stronger. It's where he's consistently working and pushing more weight. And when it comes to a fight camp, we start to pull back just a touch.
And you said you do running as well?
Oh, yeah. We do hill running, like mountain running, where we'll do sprints on Tuesdays right after sparring so his legs are shot. So we'll go out and hit some sprints. It's early in the week, so he can go and spike the heart rate right after he's got dead legs from sparring.
Right after sparring.
And then Saturday on a fresh day, so he spars on Friday. Then Saturday we go and do a long-distance run, which is only like 2 miles. And it's very inclined, just so it's not hard on his joints. And it keeps him...
18 minutes is my best time.
Yeah, you hit a really good one last time. But the legs are key. Laura Lando had told me one time, man, running's not the best for you long distance. I say, I know when I fight, like when you run and you stop running, your legs want to keep moving. Mm-hmm. Like in boxing, I know when I was running because my feet wanted to move. And when you get hit with a shot, your feet still are active. You don't get like, and get plotty. So there's that benefit. And again, strong legs are key. That's where you're staying
Legs
on
are
your
the
base.
first thing to go every time.
Yeah, it seems like there's a benefit to running with fighting. It's different than any other sport.
Look at Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
He talks about it all the time. And he's got one of the best chins. Like he just goes. He's got a flow. He's got that momentum that he just keeps and carries and carries. Long distance runners have that mindset where they can just go.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like rolling. If you roll for an hour, it's different.
That's
You know,
why
if you just grapple for an hour, you've got to be able to stay consistent. You think better. You become smarter. You don't just go out there and say, all right, I got to be this fucking brute and win this fucking thing. You have to pace yourself.
Yeah. I don't do longer than 20, 25 minutes runs because I don't want to pace myself. I want to push it. I don't have to fight more than 25 minutes ever.
Right. You make it like a fight.
Yeah.
Rose runs a lot. That's
she?
a different thing, too. She's a runner. She can run.
She's a runner. I'm not a runner. I've hated
She
it
made me
since day
stop
one.
running.
Really?
I thought I could hit a time that was not even close to hers. I was running consistently. I was like, man, I'm feeling good. It made me feel so good. And I was like, I'm going to hit a 7-minute mile. At least 7:59 I want to hit. I went out and, man, I ran a mile harder than I could ever run. I had asthma the whole time. I was like, oh, man, I might be low sevens. Man, I looked at my stopwatch right as I stopped. I was like, 8:50 something. I've always been the worst runner, man. I'm like, man.
He quit. He's like, I'm done.
I said, I'll swim. I'll do something. I'll hit the bag.
This
some
guy,
funny shit.
Zach Bitter. Zach Bitter holds the world record for the fastest 100 miles. He ran 100 miles at a 7-minute mile pace.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. He ran 100 miles in, I think it was 11 hours and 40 minutes total.
That's
and then
absurd.
he did another 100 miles. This is the one he did at a 7-minute pace on a treadmill. So this 100 miles on a treadmill, what is it, like 7 minutes and 15-second miles or something crazy like that? For 100 fucking miles.
Crazy.
That's a lot of patience.
That's almost
You
like
gotta
you
be
ever
a
seen
different
it?
kind of person.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's actually
training.
that's better though than planking. There's the people's planking for like days. Like
Yes.
what
Yeah.
are you doing mentally? Like what the hell are you thinking about? You're
Where
just
are
looking
you?
at carpet the whole time.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
maybe if you listen to something very interesting.
Yeah,
it might
you gotta be.
easier.
Oh
The
my
Joe Rogan
gosh.
podcast, John.
Oh.
Maybe a book. Something
read a
that
book.
captivates
You like any books?
I love books on tape when I run.
Yeah,
so
nice.
my favorite thing. But I'm worried about mountain lions these days.
Oh,
and I run with my dog, and I'm also worried about rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
So I've been just listening to the sound of my feet.
Nice.
And breathing.
It's cool being out there with your dog too. There's something super cool about that.
Yeah, we did it today. I love it, but I'm worried about snakes, man. These motherfuckers are everywhere out here in California.
I've seen Brendan showing pictures like 2 days in a row with
Every
snakes.
day
I'm like,
he sees
"Damn,
rattlesnakes on his trail.
That's
He's
crazy.
He's biking in an area that has a high concentration of rattlesnakes. But I ran over one once with my old dogs. The dogs aren't alive anymore, and we not because of this, but they just got old.
Yep.
But I ran over this snake, and I didn't even realize it was a rattlesnake until I was in the air over it. I thought it was a stick because it was totally flat, and it was a part where I'm really pushing, a part in the run, and I turned the corner. The dogs ran right the fuck over it too.
Damn.
And then I'm in the midair, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a fat rattlesnake, like fat, like my wrist, man. It
Oh,
was a
fuck.
big fucker.
I'm from southern Arizona, man. We have a lot of rattlesnakes. Southeastern
gosh,
Arizona.
big
Yep.
ones.
Oh, yeah, we do.
That's some funny shit.
Arizona has the fucking big ones, man.
Yep.
You made
All
a
that-
good visual of that. I have that in my mind now. You jumping over that thing. That was a good visual.
I couldn't believe it. In the air over him, I was realizing, I'm like, oh my god.
This could be
Hey, can
bad.
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, look what you got. This is super cool. Do you miss doing Fear Factor? Like that? I don't know. So I'll tell you what. I love that show. And the time I was talking with the guys out there, one of my favorite times were actually like I was like, oh, I like that dude. There was a chick who was some dude was talking shit to her, and you called the dude out was ready to fuck him up on the show. You remember that?
No.
You had called him out, and he was being aggressive to the chick on the show, and you're like, hey, man, can't be talking like that, and he got aggressive with you, and you're like, all right, we can fucking do this shit. You know what?
I think you're confusing it. This is what happened. A girl punched a guy,
And then
the girl's husband got
Yeah, it was a
mad.
That's
couple
what it
of
was.
Told
I'll
him.
never forget. I was like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, Fear Factor's going to be a fight with the host.
Yeah,
I didn't know your name at the time, and I'll never forget it, bro. Then
I put
knew
him in
you
a
from
tie
then.
clinch, and I was
Yeah,
trying to figure
oh
out.
my
I didn't
God.
want to choke him because if I choke him, then I'm doing something
Lawsuit.
to him. Yeah, and I didn't want to knee his brains out, but I was like,
Lawsuit.
I have him. If he does something
Yeah.
to me, then I could do. But I'm like, let me just hold this dude in the plum, and just also let him know how weak he is.
Yeah.
When you hold someone by their
Oh,
neck,
yeah, you
that
just know.
has never grappled
Yeah,
before,
you
and
just
then
know,
you
yeah.
rag them
Yeah.
around. They're like,
Okay.
So
quick.
in that time of your life, did you know where you'd be?
oh no, I never know where the fuck I'm. I just do things.
You
I'm
do
not
it
a
really
planner.
good. Like I'm such a
Same
goal
here.
setter. Like I'm a dreamer, and it's like magical to me. It's fucking cool. I love it. I love that shit.
Yeah, I'm not
But
much of a-
I wanted to ask that because again, you have come a long way, bro.
Yeah, I just
Super fucking
can't.
cool.
But it's all just keep going, just
Yeah.
grind.
One day
I-
at a time.
Yeah, I'm not
One
a.
bite
Massive
at a
action.
time.
I'm
Yeah,
not a
it's
one
key.
day. I'm going to be on top of the podcast
No.
world.
Nah.
There's no thought thinking about it at all.
It's
Just
one
keep
day
going.
One day I'll look back and see what I've accomplished. But right now,
Yeah. Yeah, I
time for
don't.
that.
I just enjoy what I do, so I keep doing it. And I try to do it my best. But the Fear Factor thing was, it was a great job. It was a great job.
was fun, huh?
I made money. It was fun. It allowed me to do a lot of things. It gave me fuck you money, so I could do whatever I wanted. So like from the money I made from Fear Factor, it actually helped my comedy because I didn't worry about saying anything. Because I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it was
Like,
funny,
I'm
dude.
good, man. I
Yeah.
put that money. I really didn't live that lavishly. So I'm like, I put a lot of money away. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I got fuck you money. And then once you have fuck you money, you tend to say fuck you more often.
Yeah.
And then you get more fuck you money because you be yourself. But it was a job. The Fear Factor was a job. Whereas like this never feels like a job.
Yeah,
I enjoy
totally.
it,
Totally.
especially because I get to pick who's on.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody on that I'm not interested in actually
they're not
talking.
telling you what
Totally.
to say.
Yeah, exactly.
what not
And
to say.
no one's bringing guest lists to me and say these are the people you're going to have on this week. I'm like, oh Christ, like you see, like those guys that host
Oh,
the
man.
Tonight Show or any of those shows like that.
Yeah.
That's what they have. They
Yeah.
have like someone comes to them with a list. Like,
And then it's fake because
yeah,
whether they want to be around them or not, they have to act like they want to be around.
they pretend. Yeah, and then you know it at home. So
Yeah.
everything has this air of fakeness. Whereas people could tell here we're just having a conversation.
It's having fun,
That's why
right?
we love fighting so much. It's so real.
Oh,
It's as
fucking
real as it's
obsession,
so real.
I mean,
right?
that's the old
Dude.
UFC logo. It's as real as it gets.
Yeah.
So true.
But that is what it is.
How cool is it though? Dana White stepped up and came out and fucking had some fucking fights. So
I'm glad.
Hey.
I'm glad he didn't wait. I'm glad. I'm so glad that he had the balls, and he was right. And meanwhile, look, everybody got tested. Like and ESPN, a lot of places like not ESPN, but there was ESPN asked me about it, but some places were actually upset that I was shaking people's hands.
So I
inside the
heard that
octagon.
you were supposed to do interviews outside, right?
Yeah, they had this crazy
So-
thing.
We all got tested. That's what.
So-
That's what I'm saying.
One green
100%.
card girl has no mask on, and every coach has.
Exactly.
My coaches didn't wear masks.
So-
They're the only ones that didn't wear masks.
So
the whole time.
so the thing was I'm back in the locker room and the commissioner's there with a mask on.
Safety.
And he's like this. He's like, you need to have a mask on, and now you have to have goggles on.
Yeah,
and I'm
goggles
like,
when you go
listen,
in.
I said, first off, show me it in the rule book. I know I need rubber gloves. I've seen it in the rule book. I know the fucking rules. You need to have gloves on, and every state's different, but
Yeah.
most of them have the rubber gloves. You have to have rubber gloves on. But I said, all right, show me in the rule book. I know it's not in there, and I need to be able to be there for my fighter for safety. That's number one. He needs to be able to hear me and everything that I'm doing. I'm there for him and his safety.
Not only
And
that, you're
what the
tested.
fuck are the goggles going to do? Like, it just makes no fucking common sense to
no,
me.
it's everyone's lost their mind.
We're tested, yeah.
Everyone's lost their mind. Everyone's paranoid of this. First of all, this kills less than 0.1%, particularly you're talking about people that are really healthy like
Yep.
you guys. It's zero risk.
He was about to fight, and he had it.
I know.
That's how bad he felt.
Exactly. Jacare was literally made weight.
Gonna fight, yeah.
Made weight.
Gonna
No
fight.
coughing. Nothing. Didn't even know he had it. Just had a feeling he might have had it because family members
He
had
was
it.
around somebody.
Yeah, it's not something. It's people that are metabolically challenged. They're the people that have insulin resistance problems. The people that are vitamin D deficient. The people that have asthma, obesity. All those people are in trouble. Those people are they're gonna get fucked up if they catch this disease.
When you see the numbers drop drastically for the flu, heart disease, heart attacks, it's going to be proof
Yeah.
that something was fucking wrong.
Well, they thought it was going to be way worse than it was. But the problem is when everybody's fucking tested, and we're here, there's 1,100
100%.
tests the UFC did. 3 guys tested positive. They sent those people out. Everybody was tested. We all knew we were okay.
It's the common sense shit that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like when people just don't have the fucking I'm like that. It just makes no fucking common
Right.
sense.
It was a sheep mentality too.
Oh,
Everybody's like, go back, gloves,
It's so bad right now.
masks, masks.
Can't go anywhere. Everyone's
Yeah.
wearing a mask. I don't like that's
Not
gonna-
Texas. I went
Yeah.
to Texas last week. I ate at a real
I heard it,
restaurant.
yeah.
We ate at a
Oh, it was
restaurant in
wonderful.
Florida. That was
yeah,
nice.
we did
Yeah.
too. It was nice. We ate at Morton's. I mean, the waiters are all forced to wear masks and
Yeah.
shit like that. Was I guess whatever. But just to sit down at a fucking restaurant and have a nice meal and a glass of wine.
Yep.
Ah,
Hey, no traffic here. There is positives.
right now, yeah, for
Yeah,
now.
that's-
But when it
driving
opens
here?
up,
Holy shit.
it's going to be
It started-
broke
yeah.
people that are angry, driving like fucking maniacs. It's going to be dangerous.
Not
once it
wanting to go back
reopens
to work
again.
because they were getting paid more from unemployment than they were at their fucking job.
There's a lot of that too. And where's
They're
that
gonna be
money
so
coming
pissed.
from?
Oh my god.
Where's that
from
money
our-
coming
probably
from?
for a little bit from our pockets.
Listen, I'm very, very, very happy that Dana White stepped up and did that fight
too,
in
man.
Florida and that it worked out well. And it felt real different. And I felt real, very, very fortunate. I was thinking
Me
while I
too.
was there, I was like, wow, there's not a lot of people
Fuck.
that get to be here live for this. And then when you and Tony fought, and it turned out to be
Yeah.
absolutely one of the best title fights of all
All
time.
the fights though.
Yeah.
you guys
Fights
were
great.
super
quite
unique,
privileged.
Oh, yeah, I felt
just
like that.
think about all the people with uber amounts of money that would just pay for me and Tony to go fight, in their
Yes.
in their house.
Right? Exactly.
Like, that's what you had.
Exactly.
Hey, that should be next. That's a
you
good
know what?
idea.
That's always been. Hey, I got that. Any rich people want me to? I'll bring someone. We'll
Oh
fight
my god,
for your
that is
entertainment.
so awesome.
We will do that. I
You
promise
gotta
you.
get some calls
the
from
new
Saudi
league,
Arabia.
Call-
yeah,
hey.
home fights.
Yeah, you gotta
I
get some
have skills
Dubai
and I'm-
phone calls.
I have a job. I have skills. They get me paid.
Just how much time you need for this?
How much money? 2 days.
There was also there was a gap between the table and the cage that didn't exist normally
Yeah.
too. There was they made
use
a
your cage side, right?
Yeah, it was
usually
a
we're
little-
like touching the cage.
That's the funniest shit is you guys stand next to each other doing your interviews.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're at different
apart.
tables.
No logic.
It's so-
no
that's
logic.
crazy.
And
Common sense.
people were upset. There was an article written
Oh,
about
yeah.
the fact that I didn't use social distancing inside the octagon.
We were
that I was
tested.
shaking hands. I know exactly.
We
Like,
were
what
tested.
are you talking about? Like
crazy.
people are just looking for shit to complain
totally.
about. And by the way, these fucking 2 guys are about to fight.
Yeah, we're
There's
gonna swap
no,
body.
No more
Who was it,
social distance unfriendly thing ever.
What's his name? Smith.
Stephen A. Smith said that
Can
he
you-
thought that you guys didn't grapple because you were afraid of coronavirus.
Dude, I thought you were
love
joking,
that.
bro. I thought you were joking.
I don't
Oh my
dislike him.
God.
No, he said that, and he meant it.
No, I thought you were totally.
meant it.
I laughed like
he
you
fucking
did a
meant
good
it.
one, bro.
He meant it.
He did say it.
He meant it.
Yeah, he did.
He
Dude,
didn't
there's
just
no
say it. He
way.
fucking meant it. We're literally swapping blood here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is HIV world, hepatitis world,
Yes, everything. You name it, you get it. Staff, everything.
anything through blood.
But
Oh
that
my
kind of talk. But Stephen A. Smith, though, he's a personality. Like that's
yeah,
part of
no,
what he
I
does.
love- that's why-
He's got hot takes on
Yeah.
things. So when he
hot
says
takes.
things,
He could have not meant it. He could be as smarter than we think and said it because of
yeah.
the
It's a
reaction
fun
he would have
thing to
got.
say.
It's an
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. It causes
Clickbait.
fucking
It's
shit.
clickbait.
yeah, it's a lot. Listen, he makes his living that way. We're all talking about him. I mean,
Yep.
that's how he makes his
Yeah.
living. He makes
No,
his
for
living
sure.
getting people to talk about some of the things
Oh, shit.
he says. He's a very engaging
Controversial.
personality.
Hey, you
Controversial.
have to use that in the next interview, though. I don't grapple because it's social distancing.
Yeah.
I'll use
Scared.
wrestling when they know that shit is
Coronavirus.
gone.
I knew this shit was coming for the last 7 years.
I hit him so hard because I was scared he was going to touch me and get that corona on me.
I was trying to keep him 6 feet
I
back.
think real quick
Funny
on the
shit.
fight. I think people are like, why didn't he grapple? And a huge factor in the Khabib fight is going to be my feet work.
Yeah.
There was never a spot when he felt comfortable to close the distance. I was constantly too far away and staying off the fence. So that's going to be huge against Khabib.
Well, you have the style. I mean, if you wanted to say, okay, what kind of style do you think would work against a guy like Khabib? First of all, a guy who's a fantastic defensive wrestler, like you said, and then a guy who's a superior striker. And those 2 things you have.
You got to stay off the fence.
Yeah.
You got to have feet work. Without the feet work, you can't stay off the fence.
But Khabib's whole game is, he's a great grappler as well, but his whole game is using that grappling in the fight.
against the fence.
Yeah.
You will not. If he's taking a shot in the open, it's to drive you to the fence to finish the takedown. He's not getting takedowns in the open.
Interesting.
You go watch all of his fights.
Right.
You're going to see maybe 5, a handful, if that, of takedowns in the actual center of the cage. He'll start in the middle, but he's going to push you. It's to push you to the cage and use the cage. So it's going to be my feet work. It's going to be me keeping that distance where he feels slightly uncomfortable. Like when he did go for the Eminari roll, I was just too far. He thought he was close enough, but I was just too far. You know.
Right. Well, he was already beaten down by that point.
That's late too.
Yeah, it was.
Because
This
he's
was the
super
Ferguson.
sneaky. Like the one he
with
hit on Barbosa was sneaky.
But it would have been the same in
Yeah.
the first round because of the distance I was keeping.
Right,
You know,
right.
you have to, in order to shoot a double leg, you have to be at a distance in which you feel comfortable. In wrestling, it's always, I shouldn't, unless my head's touching your head, I should never take a shot.
Right.
Because then I'm too far away.
Right.
So controlling distance, staying off the fence is going to be the most important thing in the world when it comes to that fight.
Now, when are they talking about for that fight?
I mean, we got the same
I've heard
manager,
September.
so
That's kind of crazy.
whenever we want.
You have the same manager. That is
Dude, that
kinda
dude's a
crazy.
G, man. He's got, Henry just left, but 125,
Do
135.
you think Henry's done for good?
125, 135, 201, 155, and 170. I mean, I don't know any manager that's ever had that many champions in the stable.
I think Henry a year and a half from now is like,
Oh yeah, it's again.
It's business.
yeah, he wants big money. That's
He
what he
deserves
wants.
big
That's what he
money.
does. Look, he's one of the absolutely undeniably
But
the
that
greatest
weight
combat
class has
sport.
always had issues with people getting paid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I love it. Like
Right.
anybody that just loves the fight, like their technique is just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's so fast.
I mean, Henry's a special guy. He really is. I mean, you look at a
He's
guy
an
who
incredible athlete.
won the gold medal in the Olympics, won 2 division, and then he's winning by stoppages against
crazy.
world-class
TKOs.
guys, smashing people.
TKOs.
Yeah,
Crazy.
he's amazing. He really is amazing. But I respect his choice. I mean, the guy decides to go out on top and will go down in history as one of the greatest of all time for sure.
100%.
The UFC is probably, as athletes, the hardest people to do business with in the world. So when you do have the cards in your hand, you have to go to war for yourself because
Yeah.
no other time will you be able to.
But the only time he's going to have those cards is when he's actually the champion. Right now, he is the champion. If he decides to vacate the title like he has, they remove him from the rankings.
then they put a
They
new
don't just
champion
give
in.
it.
Well, I
they
believe-
don't just give it back to
I
you.
believe that, he can earn it. He doesn't have no problem doing that. He'll get a title shot immediately.
Right, but
he won't be given the
would
title.
not be the champion going into the fight. So there's like financial
But
considerations.
that was,
I
I
didn't
believe
think
that
about
was
that.
him playing his cards.
Right.
Going to war, and they
Yeah.
they don't respect you enough, and so eventually you have to. At what point do you say no?
Right. I think legitimately he's probably done too. When you stop and think about the fact that he retired from wrestling at 21, not even at the peak of his powers, right? After he wins a gold medal. And then the fact that he came back from that first round stoppage to DJ
Yep.
and then beats him in the rematch, like, what was it, like 2
great.
years later?
And with his
Amazing.
knee and his ankle always looking like it goes out, like with the Moraes fight and in that DJ fight, just
Well,
so
the-
crazy, overcoming that and just getting.
He has nothing left to accomplish.
The Marlon Moraes fight was incredibly
Oh, my
impressive
gosh.
because Marlon's
She's so
fucking,
talented.
fucking good, man, and so nasty with his kicks.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
There was like taking ass kicking for a round and then overcome that.
And then to come
Marlon's
back
a
in the
bad
second
dude.
round, just
Yeah.
glue himself to his
crazy.
chest and
And
start
the
smashing him.
the clinch,
Yeah.
he was so
He's
strong.
a, he's a
in the clinch.
very intelligent person.
Yeah.
But retiring like that, if truly just go out, like no one's done it like that. Like
Yeah.
George has done it, but he had a rough fight prior to it.
Yep.
Then he came back later. Like the thing is no one's done it. I always say, do things outside the box. Be remembered.
I think he'll fight again.
He may.
Yeah.
He
I
may.
think he will.
Captain Eric thinks he's going to fight again.
But I do think it'll be on his terms, which is ultimately all he's fighting for right
Right.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, man, the guy, he's done amazing stuff. So the fight with you and Khabib, you both have the same manager. What I hear talk about September. Are they saying
Yeah.
that with you?
So we both pretty much we decide.
God,
the
I
UFC
hope they have a fucking audience.
we don't decide. The UFC is the boss. They
Right.
will, but you can't make anybody fight. And I'm ready in September. He's ready in September, so it's perfect.
Now, I know Vegas is going to at least allow some audiences in July, supposedly, because I'm at that Park Theater, the one that's right across the street from T-Mobile.
Yep.
I'm there in July for doing a comedy show. It's supposedly going to actually happen.
They haven't canceled it.
They haven't canceled it. So
Okay.
I'm like, all right, is this real?
Yeah.
Like,
I
what?
saw New Jersey.
Hope, right?
New Jersey opened up pro sports.
With an audience?
I don't believe so. I don't.
Yeah, see,
I didn't
that's
see
the
that part.
thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
You and Khabib, I mean, as much as it was cool to see you and Tony fight with no audience, I kind of want to see a fucking
Yeah.
As
packed
much as I
house.
loved fighting with no audience, I want them there.
Yeah.
The spectacle of that
Totally.
fight, that's such a
It's
big
such
fight.
It's such
It's the
an
biggest
experience.
challenge of his career. It's the biggest challenge of Khabib's career. It's the biggest challenge of your career.
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Khabib's the greatest at
best.
what he does. Like that's again, we can't take anything away from that. It's when you look at well-rounded fighters, he's well-rounded, but he's great
At
in
one thing.
what he
Yeah.
does, and that is like what made Chuck Liddell great. Like he had thunder in his hands, and he sprawl and brawl. Like
Yeah.
you get hit by him, he's great at what he does, and that's what's so exciting is having opportunities to be able to step up. That's what I'm really excited for. I know he's excited for. And again, no one's got to see his wrestling. And I met this guy watching him wrestle, and what he does was so unique. It's a total different style of wrestling, and that's hard to train for. And it's kind of like a hidden weapon. So I feel like we're bringing something unique into this.
I think it's a very
cool.
unique fight, and it's also Tony was thought to be the biggest threat to that title because Tony is such a good grappler and he's so good on his feet and he fucks people up on his feet. So him fighting you and you stopping him, like you take that spot now, and also your style, in my opinion, is better.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the thing about Tony's style is that Tony can fight off of his back. He's not worried about takedowns, and he
he was
going
gonna
to
fight that fight with the mindset of being okay on his back.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Cutting them up, yep.
that was the thought process. Whereas your thought process is completely different. Being such a great defensive wrestler, but also being the superior striker.
Totally.
It's a very dangerous fight for Khabib. Very dangerous. And especially the confidence that you must have coming off of that 5 rounds with Tony. You
Feels
know?
good. I mean, I know how bad those kicks hurt. If I can touch your calf, I'm never kicking above the knee anymore.
Really?
Only below.
No, he
If
will.
you ever, not on purpose.
He will.
Not on purpose.
Never.
Really? It's
Not
the,
on
the
purpose.
calf kick's so devastating.
So devastating.
In the
It's-
clinch, you're going to kick above the knee.
Maybe.
That's a non-never,
Well,
right?
yeah, I'll try to break their knee by hyperextending it.
They-
But from the outside,
Yeah.
it's you could fire it at a different distance. You're so much more safe. Mm-hmm. And there's so many nerves and ligaments that run through that part that have no protection. Your thigh has, your quad is a big muscle. It's hard to get through your quad to those nerves. Yeah. You could touch the nerves. That's why, when he said Henry's calf and foot don't hurt, it's because he got kicked in the calf.
Yeah.
And the nerves stopped firing.
Yeah, just
If
like
I can
Michael
touch-
Chandler and
Oh,
Bellator.
yeah, dude. It's
Exactly.
unique,
If I
right?
can touch, I got to touch Khabib there 4 times, and then he's compromised.
Yeah.
Once he's compromised,
You can't shoot.
he can shoot, but he
not the
has
same.
to have the fence.
Right.
If he doesn't have the fence, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
I promise you that. It has to be in the middle.
So
And he can give me, there might be a scramble. He might out scramble me in the middle once or twice. But if he wants to take me down, he's going to have to put me against the fence.
now, once they set this fight, you need 8 weeks. Is that what you want to get prepared?
Yeah, so
So we're getting close to that, right? We're in June in just a week or so.
yep, June, July, August. Yeah. So I take 30 days off.
But they
after.
didn't give you a specific
I don't know
timeline.
anything.
Yeah.
Just September.
And they didn't say it's Fight Island? Is it Fight Island?
My manager probably knows more details than I do.
Fight Island seems like a fucking
There's
myth.
not a lot.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was thinking.
I need to see
Treasure
this.
Island? Or they open it up in Treasure Island in Vegas?
I need to see this place on Google Maps.
Oh, my gosh.
You know what it's
I,
like? It's like fucking that movie Contact where they zoom in close and you see the thing. It's like it's also like I want to like look on Google Maps. Look, they're
Totally,
fucking
dude.
constructing the
Yeah, my
octagon.
gosh, like
Nobody
they built
knows
an
where it's
island.
at.
They put a
It's
whole
fucking
bunch
crazy.
of dirt.
Dana won't even tell me.
Enough to bring it
Dana
up.
tells me everything. He won't tell me. And where's this
my
fucking
gosh,
island?
dude.
I don't know nothing, dude.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's real.
Yeah, it might be just saying it just so he can get another day set for his little
mean,
spot in Vegas and just be like,
If you
oh,
think
man, we don't need
for
it no more.
international fights, it seems like the only option
Yes, it
until
seems like
the
only
U.S. opens
option.
back
Yeah.
up. You ain't getting visas right now.
No, you're not getting visas, and I don't even know how they're gonna have to fly everybody private to this fucking island.
Yeah, I want to know if I can get back.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Where are you going to land?
Your
Who's
win
gonna
bonus
take you?
includes a flight. If you lose, you got that boat and the oar.
You land in
Shit, man.
Mexico. You land in Tijuana, and then you have a boat. You got to get to San Diego, and then we drive you home. It's crazy,
Perfect.
but I love the fact that they decided to do all these different
it,
things,
dude.
like
It's
have the
cool,
Tai Chi
dude.
Palace fights.
Yeah.
That got canceled because the governor got his panties in a wad. But this Florida thing was great, and I'm glad that the fights are rolling again.
Yeah,
this
super
this
cool,
weekend's a tough fight, man. Tyron and
Gilbert.
Gilbert.
Yep.
That's a tough
That's
fight
a good
for
fight.
Tyron.
That's a good.
Are they doing it in
is.
Florida?
I
Or
don't
is it
know
in Vegas?
where they're doing that. Where is that fight? I don't. It might be an Apex fight. It might be of the.
I know they're
Apex
trying to
Center.
move there. Actually, I think it is because they were saying if not, they would move it to Arizona.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it was.
Yeah,
for this
Arizona
fight.
doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're
That's where I'm
buck
from. It's the
wild
Wild
now.
Wild West.
It is the wild wild.
Except
You
for
can have an open carry
Tombstone.
gun.
Have you seen the movie Tombstone?
Yeah.
So 40 miles north of that is where I grew up.
Las Vegas Apex Center. Now here's interesting as well because the Apex Center is a smaller fight, a smaller octagon.
Yep.
Instead of a 30-foot
20
octagon.
I bet they'll
something
move
like
it.
that.
They have to move a 30-foot in there.
No.
No, dude.
I wouldn't
That's like
wanna fight.
at the Palms. Like when you fight at the Palms, you fight with a smaller one.
Yeah, the old days.
yeah.
Yeah. So this one is a 25-foot octagon. It's smaller, but it might. I think it's a good size. It is smaller, but it's not too small. It's gonna
25
force
is not
guys to
too small.
engage.
20's almost
20.
too small.
20 small, but this is
He
25.
fought the square cage out there at
Did you?
Victory.
in the square cage. So that's
Shit, the cage I fought in Rage in the Cage, that thing was maybe like 12 foot, 10 foot. It was like,
Really?
boom, you're fighting.
Speaking of the cage, the
fighting.
movie The Big Boom. I just watched that the other night. Dude, it was classic with you in it. You
Oh,
were
Here
like,
Comes the Boom?
Here comes the boom. You were
Oh,
like
yeah.
signing people for fights. It was classic.
It's so
But the
ridiculous.
cage in there would have fallen apart. So it's the best. Movies
Yeah.
like that are just the best.
Yeah, they never get it right. Warrior didn't get it right. They fought 2 days in a row. I'm like, what the fuck are you
Dude,
talking? You ever
it's
seen somebody
so
the day after a
awesome.
fight?
Yeah,
Oh
no.
my gosh,
So stupid.
Classic, dude.
This is Hollywood bullshit, you know?
It was awesome though. That was some entertainment for me. It was fucking awesome.
The Apex Center is going to be very interesting because that's even smaller.
Way smaller.
Because it was weird being in that 15,000 seat place.
I
in
did. When I got in
Florida.
there, I looked around. I was like, this is
Crazy.
fucking weird.
So weird. That
Crazy.
they could have had that at the hotel. We could have had a conference room. Just set up the
I'm
octagon.
honestly, I've been at some fights like that where you got a promoter promotes for the first time and they're like, cool, have your fighters, and you're just hoping your fighter gets paid because you look at the crowd, there's like 12 people.
Yes.
And they got
yeah.
an arena like that. I've seen that.
Yeah, they
I've
have
seen
to.
it before. I've been a part of some events where you're hoping your guys get paid because
Yeah.
you show up and fight, but there ain't no one in the crowd.
Yeah, it's.
But it was unique because it's you have the TV. It's just you're on, you're on the big show.
Mm-hmm.
But it was super unique.
Well, Gilbert's already done that. He's already done no crowd because he did the no crowd in Brazil.
Yep.
He fought Damian Maia,
Yep,
so
the
he's
first
used.
one.
He's used to the experience. Tyron,
Yep.
this will be Tyron's first fight like that.
This is different.
What is it? What is different about it? Like when you walk in the octagon and Bruce Buffer's, Justin the Highlight KG.
So in
Nothing.
that,
no, he's screaming and nothing. You don't hear anything. There's no people. It's weird. You just hear the echo of his
I'm in
sound.
such a fucking special place at that time. Like I have no idea. I'm there, but I'm not there.
What do you like? What is happening in your head?
No, there's literally not a thing. Like not a thing.
You just go blank.
Pure bliss. Just peace.
Really?
It's weird, yeah. Peace.
No nerves.
I don't feel a thing.
Really?
Feel a thing. So I get in there, I looked him in the eyes, and then he broke for a second, and I was like, all right, give me some water. I got this motherfucker. And then it's just peace. Then it's like from the minute training camp starts, it's like a tunnel just closing in, and you get in the octagon and you just see the blue canvas, the lights. I understand. Like I noticed the lights. It's really bright. There's like a smell. I smell it, and then it's just the tunnel just closes. Like he's announcing. I've never even seen Bruce Buffer's face in there. I've never heard his voice. I've never heard Bruce Buffer's voice in there.
Really?
And then it just closes, and then the fight starts, and it's just whoom, and it just closes, and it's over. Wow.
The difference between your fights where you said you were having too much fun, like the Poirier fight or the Eddie Alvarez fight,
Yeah.
and now, what is the difference?
So that was so once the tunnel closed with those fights, it was like over. Now I have like 3 pieces from this fight that I can remember, and so I'm more present now.
More
I'm much
calculated.
I'm as present as I can possibly be, while still able to rely on my reactions and my intuition.
So your reactions and your intuition is all the stuff that you worked on in training, and then you just trust it. You trust that process once you get inside the octagon.
Yep, and my timing is unbelievable. There's weird things like my dad's a genius. My dad has honed these certain skills. Like right now, I'm seeing him doing it with my nephew. But he'll be watching TV and he'll throw a ball to you, and you have to catch it as many times as you can. And he'll move it back. He'll start throwing it sideways, and you try to get to 100. First you get to 50, then you try to beat 50. Then he's going outside, and he's throwing a ball onto the roof, and it's rolling down. And you have to kind of listen to it, and as it's falling, you got to trying to react to as it's falling to the ground. Like these small little things that my dad has done like since I was a baby. And my weird OCD when I'm driving in cars as a kid, anytime there was a shadow cast on the road, I always had to blink as the shadow was in between the tires. Like, so it's just my ability to react and not hesitate is, I believe, what's allowing me to do that inside the octagon in those situations.
Well, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, something that sounds so stupid and weird, but
No,
like
it doesn't sound that stupid.
Those small little skills that I've constantly worked on since I was, and I never knew why. I never knew why I was doing this, but now hindsight is always 20/20.
It's crazy because this is not something you could decide to do as an adult, right? Like this is something
and
you
I
built
never-
up your whole life,
Totally.
and now you can do it. But your split-second timing and counter shots with Tony was
That's
pretty spectacular.
second to none. No one will beat me. Conor McGregor's it's gonna be a race. It's gonna be we're talking about milliseconds here, and that's the race that we'll have.
Is that a fight you're looking forward to?
I do. I want to shut him up. I would love that. I really would.
Do you think that's a possible fight? Do you think?
If I could fight him right now if I wanted to.
You think so?
And everyone is going to say that that I'm lying, and then if it was there, I would take it. Daniel Cormier said that the other day. I'm not that fighter. For one, I have an opportunity to do something that can be unmatched in the history of our sport. To go in there, to come off the circumstances, to beat Tony like I did, go beat Khabib, go beat Conor. That's legendary.
So that's what you want to do. You want to beat Khabib and then fight Conor. But when you said you could fight Conor right now, why are you saying that?
Well, he's calling me out.
But is he really? Because he was saying something
He
about
calls everybody
Usman
out.
too.
Well,
And I know that's not real. He doesn't want that.
I think he would take the fight.
With
Why-
Usman or you?
With me.
Okay, yeah.
He wants to fight Khabib. But
Right.
I'm the only way. You have to go. You had to go. If he could have got when he picked Cowboy, he could have
Right.
gone through me. He could have gone through me. There's no, if you're a fan of
But
the
don't
sport,
you think he matches up way better with Cowboy?
well, that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant.
But I think it is for him. I think
Well,
to make a
yeah,
spectacular performance,
sure.
I think he felt like he matched
No,
up.
I don't think it was smart.
Yeah.
But now you're going to call for a title shot? No. I'm in a great position because, for one, I get to fight for a title. There's 500 some odd people on this roster. Every single one of them would want to be in my position right now. But I also have the ability to bring some kind of, God, I always draw a blank when it comes to this word, but a rhyme or a reason, a way to a title shot. For young guys that come in, they think politics run the show. They ultimately do, but there is a small chance that you get a say in your destiny and eliminate politics, and that's what I just did. Politics were going to fuck me. I wasn't going to get the fight. Conor was going to somehow or some way get that fight, and now I got the chance to go out there, and I, did what I did.
Well, but just through the virtue of your performances, you become incredibly popular, and that's enough. That's enough. It's popularity is everything. I mean, it's a weird game. Yeah,
You have to win.
You have to win, but it's also the way you win. Like you, and also
100%.
you winning the way you did in Florida when there was nothing else going on in the world.
Yeah.
There's no live sports. And so you winning the way you did and doing it in such spectacular fashion against a hugely respected guy like Tony Ferguson, that makes you undeniable. And when you're undeniable, weird things happen.
Timing is everything.
Doors get opened.
Timing
Yeah,
is everything. It was a perfect time.
It was.
Destiny, whatever it is. I don't put anything into any of those things. I just do what I can do today. But, timing is everything, and it feels like that was part of my destiny to have the opportunity at that time under these circumstances.
Well, it certainly is a magical storyline. If you were writing a movie, I mean, that would be the best way
and
to.
if I can, when I go beat Khabib and then I beat Conor, what run in the history of this sport has been better? Coming off 2 losses, getting counted out. That's what I'm here for. That I can inspire the world.
Now, do they have anything lined up for Conor now? Because Conor keeps talking like something's happening.
He's so back and forth from the boxing to the MMA that it's
Right, he keeps talking about fighting Floyd
He's
again.
trying to talk people into that he's the number one.
I would say
GOAT.
he said he was going to
If
come
you have
back
to
and do
put
the
an argument
season.
for yourself, you're not that
Where's
man.
the season? Like, he talked about doing the season. And don't get me wrong, I respect the shit out of him. He can fight his ass off. But he was like, I'm going to do a season. I'm going to have 3 fights in 3 months or whatever he had said. And the whole thing is people stop listening when you're not sticking to your word. And if you're going to fight, stay relevant.
Hey.
Pick a weight class. Be just consistent as you are when you fight, because he's super consistent when he fights. Like he's very talented.
Yeah, I said in an interview that he was losing clout among fighters and in the game. Dana White's laughing at him. Reporter asked him, he said, Conor says he's fighting Justin next. Dana laughs. That's all the proof you need right there. That's you're losing respect. So he has to go and fight if he wants to earn it back.
He has to kind of earn a position. I mean, beating Cowboy's nice, but he's got to kind of get another win.
100%.
Something else has got to happen to really sell the public on
100%.
That you can sell a certain percentage of the public based on his name.
And it was at 170. I mean, again, there's the consistency. I look at it from a consistency standpoint. It's like, what weight class are you going to go in? I feel if he was fighting at 145, he's very unstoppable. I feel like that's the weight class for him. But him changing weight, if I was a coach with him, I'd be like, hey, man, pick a weight class, be consistent.
He's so big for 145.
I know,
though.
but
I don't
again,
know how the fuck he ever made that
but
weight.
But again, he came from
He's
those
also
weight classes.
super hungry.
He's getting up to stronger dudes.
Yes.
Like his speed is key, and when you go up bigger weight classes, you start to lose your speed.
Well, that's why the
his big
Usman
thing.
fight I thought was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
When I saw them, Usman was posting photos of that. I'm like, that is so crazy because
Totally.
Usman is enormous and he's so powerful.
I was sparring with him for this camp.
William?
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big
some
guy
fun
and
rounds.
he's strong as fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like when Usman gets a hold of guys, he drags them to the ground.
crazy,
I mean,
right?
he's an incredible wrestler, and his mind too. His mind's very, very powerful. So when I was looking at that, I was like, wow, is that really happening?
Totally.
But it's not. Yeah, that fight's not happening.
No.
I even texted Dana about that one. I'm like, come on, man. Is
So
this
I didn't
real?
even know nothing about that. I really haven't been working.
been on-
But
Look
that's when Conor's talking about 70. Like after he fought Cowboy, he was like, I feel so good at 170. I'm like,
dude.
okay,
Yeah.
but
It's all show.
yeah.
It's all game.
Well, I think he really did feel good, but he
Well,
was
of course,
fighting a
'cause you
guy
have
who's
to
not
cut
a real
weight.
170.
Yeah, he fought a 55er.
Yeah, exactly. So your ultimate goal is to do that, to beat Conor, and then what do you do? Do you have a long-term?
Fight Poirier.
Fight
And then get the fuck
Poirier,
out of
yeah.
here.
And that's it.
That's all I need.
Wow.
What do I need after that?
Yeah.
That would be legendary. I'd make plenty of money, which is ultimately what I'm here to do. And I took control of my destiny, which is all I asked for. So it's good. Business-wise, the smart move could be, right now to fight Conor, because obviously that's a lot of money.
I think you have more leverage.
But
beating Khabib,
I make way
and
more
you
money.
Make a lot more
money
yeah.
when I beat Khabib and then fight.
Yeah.
If Conor's not there, I'll fight Poirier. He's not on my list. Conor's not necessarily. Khabib and Poirier are the two on my list right now. If I fight them two with big paydays, then I'm good.
That's a great plan, man. This is a good way to wrap this up. Listen, man, it's been an honor, privilege
man.
having you guys in
It's
here.
been
an
Really
honor,
appreciate
bro.
it.
It's a dream
And,
come true for me, man. You're a legend.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate
You're a
it,
legend
man.
too, and I really
Not yet,
fucking
not
hope
yet.
these goddamn gloves make their way into the UFC.
Oh, they will. They will. Hey,
Jeez.
it's all about timing, right?
They're
We're just talking about it.
superior, and I really hope I'm there in September when you guys fight. I can't
You
wait
will
to
be.
see it.
You will be- I heard
Island,
maybe you
motherfuckers.
weren't. I
Yeah,
heard
no
maybe.
doubt.
I was kind of pissed. This was the first fight you've ever commentated. No, you did the Eddie Alvarez fight too.
Yes, yeah.
But this was the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fucking
Super
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, I was glad you
Appreciate
did
it.
it.
Hell yeah.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you
brother.
guys. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.